Yeah, man.
Hello.
Fuck a duck.
Fuck a
How am I gonna
duck.
see chat? Yeah, that's a Caribbean term. Well, you're from the Caribbean,
I
so
mean,
you should
people have
know.
said that. People say that in the U.S. sometimes too. I'm just like
They do.
startled at you
Hello.
saying it. I didn't know it was a Caribbean
Yeah,
thing.
that is the first thing that we're starting the stream with, like
Straight
me
up, fuck a duck.
hurling expletives. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the duck doesn't want that. I'm all about consent. I'm a sucker for consent. Fuck.
Listen. Obviously, it's fuck a duck consensually. Preferably if you're another duck. I don't think ducks are trying to fuck people outside of the duck species.
And suddenly we are now,
And
we
we're
have
gone. See you guys and have a great day. It's been an
top of
awesome
the morning, top of the
stream.
evening, top of the afternoon.
I do like ducks a
Um,
lot, so.
I haven't had duck meat. Ooh, I haven't had duck meat before.
I've had duck meat
I'm just
before.
saying it.
I
How is it?
just, I mean, I was saying it just in terms of the animal itself. Like it seems like a nice guy, nice type of animal.
That's what I meant. I heard it's kind of gamey a little bit, but like, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's nice like just nice species. Like a just
I
good,
mean, oh, okay,
good
you're talking about
spirit.
from like oh, okay, that's what you mean. You
That's what
mean
I'm trying
from
to
like
say.
a
Yeah, I mean,
like an amicable.
I've eaten the meat before too. I don't know if that's like a, if you want to know anything. I don't
I
necessarily.
mean, I haven't had it before, so like I'm trying to figure out like I am on a mission to try the majority of meats that the world has to offer
Hmm.
that doesn't put the rest of the world at risk.
That leaves you with about two options. You got grasshoppers, maybe. I hope you like just anything within like a general like roach bug
Ro I have
species.
had roach before. I have had roach before.
Okay, thoughts?
Caramelized roach. Not a fan. Not a fan. I think it's my own trauma from roaches as to why I didn't have a good experience.
I can't imagine they
Um,
taste good.
it really tastes like chicken, to be honest. Like caramelized roaches just taste like straight up chicken. It does. In fact, the majority of things taste like chicken if you've had chicken. But like,
The majority of things taste like chicken. Okay, these are new things I'm learning as well.
if you've watched Lola Sebastian's video on cannibalism, apparently human beings taste like chicken. Not, of course, this is secondhand, third hand, scholarly research that is yielding that,
Oh,
not
surely.
first hand experience. Surely.
Yes, of course.
No Hannibal Lecter. But like, yeah,
No Hannibal.
apparently it's all about chicken. Hi, Chad.
Hello, chat. If you've eaten human meat before, let us know.
Let us
This,
know. Is it gamey?
um, we're very sorry to everyone who doesn't eat meat. Um,
Oh,
we're not good people, and that's just something we've had to resign to a degree.
well,
Today I'm live with the foreign man in a foreign land. You need like a catch, like a theme song.
did you hear that? Did you get the air horn? You didn't hear the air horn, did
I
you?
didn't hear
Were
the
you the
air
face
horn.
with it?
Try it again. Hold on.
Fuck. No, it's not gonna work. It never works. I've tried to trigger the air horn. It only works in the foreign land. So I heard it on my side. I got hyped. But nobody else heard it. So then it's just me listening to the sound in headphones, and I look like I've gone mad. Which, I mean, facts. It is what it is.
I don't think you look like you've had any type of negative experience over there. It looks like you just you tried a sound effect that didn't work out. That's part of life.
We keep it. We ball like we ball. You know,
We do. We continue to ball in spite of the circumstances. You
ball
know.
forever.
We put
Sounds like a
shots up.
Chief Keef album. Ball forever.
I isn't it? Oh, there's an album called Ball
Rich
Forever.
forever.
Rich Forever is the Chief Keef album.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a Ball Forever as well.
Quintessential album, actually. Nobody talks about that enough.
Quintet. Oh well, they should. I mean, things changed after Chief Keef came out on the scene. I remember when Chief Keef first blew up, and it was just game changing. It
You
was
were
really.
outside for that? I feel like you wouldn't be outside for that.
You know,
You were outside?
outside is like a relative term. I think. There's degrees of outside. I would say that I was around.
You
You
were
know,
around?
I
Okay.
think if there's like different levels of presence, like outside is sort of like the first tier, right? But then you have like around,
Mhm.
and
Like
then
Tupac, like you got around.
that's a different kind of around. More like
Gotcha.
around, like I was in the vicinity, you know.
Gotcha.
I
You were in
was
the
in the
vicinity.
vicinity, and then maybe at times I was even outside, but not necessarily for the whole time. You know, it's like just
Okay.
periodically outside, but mostly.
Right.
And then there's inside, right? I feel like I'm
Right.
I'm usually around. I'm not outside all the time. I'm very
Well, I'm
rarely
outside
really
like a
outside.
doormat. I mean, like I am outside. Yeah. Terminally outside. Terminally touching
Oh
grass.
wow,
Yeah.
that must be amazing.
I mean, overrated. Rather overrated.
You should go inside more.
I
Bo
should touch
Burnham.
grass more.
Yeah, you should do a Bo.
Congratulations on 100K, by the way. ADHD
Oh,
tangent. But sorry, I forgot to go and congratulate you again on screen where everybody could see it so they know it
oh,
actually happened.
thank you so much. It's
Much
wild.
deserved.
It's hard to even grasp. You know,
Well, you'll be able to grasp it when you have like the actual tangible
plat.
that thing. I had to import mine all the way to the Bahamas. They actually almost didn't send it. They actually didn't give it to me. Almost. I had to fight tooth and nail with customs. They thought it was something else.
Oh, with customs was the issue. Okay.
Yeah, of course, naturally. Customs is always the issue.
Borders, customs. It's these things they're designed to not only maintain the flow of commerce or whatever. Why am I sounding like the Barbie quote? They're designed to sort of oppress, but in
It's
particular,
hierarchies.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hierarchies, it's oppression. It is preventing the flow of immigration, preventing the flow of travel, and the flow of people being able to live freely where they would like to. And
Baby.
worst of all, it is preventing YouTubers from getting their goods. And
Indeed.
once
My
the
acknowledgements.
YouTubers are first, they came for the YouTubers, and I immediately freaked out because you can't let them do that to the YouTubers. That's the poem, I think. I've heard that.
Yeah, I have heard that. Langston Hughes. Yes.
Yeah, Langston.
There we
It's
go.
not.
Gotcha.
It's not one of his most known. He's
It's
had more
he's rather
significant.
underground. I mean, I'm positive that Malcolm X might have quoted that in his autobiography.
Yeah, first, they came for the YouTubers. It's like one of those signature lines you see quoted a lot. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
wild because like at that time there wasn't any YouTube, so folks weren't really sure what he was saying.
but he's progressive, like literally,
Yeah,
like in the semantics of it. Progressive. Like he's can you get a source? No.
no,
No. You
no,
can't get a
get
source.
out.
I'm tired of
Actually,
people asking for sources and
yeah, you're gonna have
sources.
to leave. That's actually offensive.
Hmm.
That's actually
Questioning two minorities about their sources.
Orientalist.
Would you question the whites
You
about
see
their
what happens when
sources?
they let the Caribbeans get on
Get
YouTube? Like,
together,
do you see what
Caribbean
happens?
school.
They don't want the Caribbeans to have success on YouTube.
They
Like,
don't.
they
That's
think
why they region lock us.
that's why they reach exactly, and they don't ship us our buttons, and then they question our sources. They don't want us. They don't believe that they question our sources because they don't think we're intelligent because we're Caribbean, because we're
But like
Taino.
for but for real though, like legit, like the amount of people questioning my sources on a regular basis. That's why I had to put my whole ass degree up there. Like one of them, I was just like, okay, let me put that in there. Let me see if like people will acknowledge that at all.
But did it work? Did it help?
No, they started to question it more. They were just like, did you get that from a cereal box? I'm
Oh
like, yes,
no.
Kellogg's. Yeah,
See, if you're
for
getting a
real.
degree from a cereal box, I don't know.
I mean, reputable cereal boxes out there, like the
That is true.
Quakers.
That is
Yeah,
true. The Quakers, they were really, I mean, they were really serious about literacy, weren't they?
they were.
The
The
Puritans,
Grams,
the Grams.
Grams. I personally probably would have been a Gramite back in the day. Um,
I would have been Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
no, no, I'm not convinced that cinnamon isn't like a toxin that is
Me
trying to
neither.
make the frogs gay. Like uh,
And we won. The frogs. Have you seen the frogs lately?
the frogs are looking rather gay. I'm not gonna lie, they are looking rather. I was trying to figure out how long we're gonna be able to keep going up. I'm just
The
like, I'm just like,
frogs are out of control.
they
Like
are flaming like the
and
lips.
it's exciting. I mean, it's a really exciting time to be out. Like I was at, I was at a drag bar the other night, full
For
of
real, like,
frogs. Just so many frogs were there, and I think it's time that we just like allow it. You know what I mean? Like I think it's a time that we just break down the barriers a little bit, because like they're
frog.
really chill. If you talk to frogs,
Actually,
super
I don't like
calm.
frogs because frogs are typically slurs for French, and well, you know how I feel about the French.
Slurs for French? What does that mean?
No, in all seriousness, I do think the frogs is a slur for a Frenchman. Chat, chat,
A
quote,
slur
like
for.
fact check me on that. Yeah, there's so many slurs. Like, there's a lot of slurs. Like,
There's
there
always a
must have
new
been,
one.
and yeah, for real. Like, there are things that I'm finding out every day that I used to say that are slurs. I am a work in progress. But like, frogs being a slur for French is just absolutely wild. Granted, I mean the French,
Yeah,
but like
I'm curious about that. I'm curious about whether can the French truly be discriminated
slurred.
against?
You know how I feel. Like I've essayed about the French. I have so much heat for the French. I like listen. Anybody in the chat that's French, you could leave. You could go.
I'm
Like I
talking
mean,
about
because
like the
like
Franks, by the way. I'm not talking about folks that live over there but have descendancy from other places. Like I'm talking about just
oh yeah, of
straight
course,
up,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I mean, you mean like the right? Yeah, the immigrant,
the folks who are there, who were there when when the French Revolution happened.
the
Like
Franks.
they're part of the aristocracy. Like I'm trying like those
I'm talking.
folks.
I'm talking about the French as a collective, as an idea and a concept.
Why do they get
I
to have
have.
frogs? Is my question. I feel like they should have worse ones. No.
I mean, it makes sense, Pepe and all that. I think frogs have been co-opted, like throughout history. Like if we go back and we look at how frogs have been used, like they're associated with what's it called? Like the plague. They're associated with that. Like they're associated
What's going
with
on?
the French, with Keck. Like
Yeah,
the frogs have gotten a pretty bad rap throughout history.
I'm saying.
Um,
What's up, Aronok? What's up, Eliza?
Anok, Lessa,
The
Elijah.
frogs. Yeah,
Sorry, I don't know how we got here.
I
I
mean
I don't know.
I don't know what else to add about the frogs. I do see you, like, and I see the frogs, and I want them to know that this is like the frog friendly community.
Hi.
And I want
Yeah.
more. I would love to talk to more frogs for upcoming videos because they seem like just like they've had like a lot to say. They've had a lot. They've got a lot to say.
You have done a video on tea.
I have.
It's only right that you do a video on frogs. Like that's the logical progression.
Yeah. When I think tea, the next thing I'm thinking is a frog right next to it. A frog sipping tea.
Sipping tea.
Kermit. You
Kermit.
know, Kermit the frog.
God
Which
damn it.
he doesn't quite look like a frog. He's kind of got a huge. He's kind of got like a huge.
Don't leave that on a cliffhanger, please. Please finish that
No, no.
sentence.
He's kind of got like I don't even know why I used the word huge. It just I wanted to say
You
that
haven't finished the
he's
sentence
got
yet.
a
It's
very
really fucking
different
deep.
look to him that's not quite like I don't associate him with frogs. Is that just me? Like when I think
It's,
Kermit, I think it's just like of a different like a unique species of animal.
yeah, I mean he's given like anamorphic anamorphic
Anthropomorphic.
anthropomorphic
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
features.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I guess the whole point is to disassociate him with frogs.
Mm.
He's denying himself frogdom and frog likeness, which is unfortunate because
He's sort of
frogs.
like a different, yeah,
Yeah.
like a different evolution of frog, a unique.
It's like when Dominicans like to say that they're not black.
Sure. Yeah. I was thinking. See, my example. I was thinking is more like it's like a Raichu Pikachu situation, but I think we went in different directions there. Like like a Kermit
That
is like a
was
Raichu, and then
Okay, that's what you meant. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
I
Maybe I'm too bred to.
I don't personally like. I feel like Kermit is. I don't associate Kermit with anti-blackness at all. You know, I think Kermit seems like an extremely like. I don't know. Now I don't know the histories.
I don't know.
So
I'm positive that we can find. I, yeah, I'm positive we can find something about Kermit. I'm not ready to stand Kermit just yet. Um,
he's got a lot to
but
answer for, is what you're saying?
I mean, like you see all the memes, right? Like you seeing like the one where he's in the hood. Why the fuck is he in the hood? Wasn't he like role playing like Deep Throat too? What does that mean? Like, it's just there's just so much.
I tuned out for like half a second, and I feel like that was three different topics just flew by in that one sentence. I don't even know what just happened. I don't even know what just happened. Like I'm off of like 3 hours of sleep, and
How do you function?
I'm not. Is the short
Okay.
answer. Like I barely, like I have been napping, trying to like get it back, but I have to stretch first now because I'm so achy all over the place. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Achy
I'm achy.
from lifting?
No, from being stiff and then different, like
Gotcha.
lying down and sitting down a lot. Um, and I get very tight and achy in like back and shoulders areas, and I got to do my stretches.
God damn. God damn. Like, honestly, that's why I got this chair. Like, this is
Thank
a
you,
gamer
Aaron.
chair,
They
right?
will. What's up?
This is like a gamer chair. Like, this is like the
Nice.
quintessential gamer
Yeah,
chair.
it is.
So, like, this isn't a flex, by the way, chat. Like, this is just like an ADHD rat. But essentially, I went to get a chair because I was tired of the chair that I was in, um, it giving me no support at all.
Mm.
My chair is like YouTube support. There's none. So, like,
Mm.
basically, I went in and I looked for a chair, and I was just like, okay, this is the gamer chair, right? This is like it gives you support. Like I see other people that I respect using them. So by value of peer pressure and influencing, I am influenced to get it as well. And I go to get the chair. This chair is $500 on the sticker price, right? So like I go online, I go on Amazon, I show the clerk on Amazon. This chair costs $99 on Amazon. I was just like, okay, listen, this is a Christian nation, right? You're not going to hell. You're going under hell if you charge me $500 for this chair. The woman says, "Oh, this is my woman voice. I can't help you."
Ah.
I was just like, listen, I will give you $300 for this chair. That's already
Haggle.
funny, but I will give you
That's already
$300.
horrible. Yes.
So now we're bartering. We're bartering.
Bargaining.
Um, bartering.
Isn't bartering just referring to barter, like the exchange of different
Oops.
objects?
Well, I'm exchanging my integrity
Sorry.
and my hard-earned Patreon's cash,
Yes.
um, to get this fucking chair so I could sit without lumbar issues well into my 30s. So I get it. Um, I get it for 300,
Good.
and I bring it back home, and I immediately sit in it, and here we are. That's the story. That's what y'all came for.
Okay, I thought there was gonna be like a bad twist at the end there, but
No, no,
and it's working for you.
no, no. It actually is very overrated. This is
Wow.
very overrated. Like this thing right here, stiffer than me when I watched Jacob Geller. Like honestly, like
Stuff. Just
it's
edge of your seat.
like I could practice on this. Punching, of course, that's what I meant. Punching as in pugilism and not in any other way. I could practice. And then they got like one in the back, like at the bottom. It's
What's up,
also
Jesse?
rather painful. Is Jesse in here? Hi, Jesse. And
What's
Arendt. Oh, Othelius is in here. Fuck. Um,
Othelius?
no, Othelius is dangerous.
Othelius
Othelius is a
Maximus.
menace.
Othelius
Othelius.
is straddling the line between dead and hip hop YouTube, and the RedTube YouTube, you know, and it's a fascinating space that I thought I would be the only person to occupy. But seeing Othelius Maximus on my channel, it's like I feel like I'm like a real YouTuber when he's here, you know.
You're one step closer to dead end hip hop. I honestly
Yes.
can't stand dead end hip hop.
No.
I can't stand them, which is wild. I should, right? But like I just feel like their musicology, like anytime like when they give ratings for albums, Like I know the only guy I like from there is Mike Seatown. I fuck with Mike. Because
People
he
say that
cooks
a
like
lot.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fuck with Mike, but everybody else in there, like the other guy that's talking about like, oh yeah, I could bump this in the whip. I'm like, bro, this does not get any rotations in the whip. Like they rated like a Playboy Cardi album solo, and that's when I just had enough. Like I was just like, how dare you, you
Yeah.
slime.
You're not real
Like
slime.
like
Yeah.
nah, like I mean like no, like literally like I'm just like why would you say that about Playboy Cardi
They
or
are
Soulja?
just pure old heads. That's the thing. Like they really just enjoy a specific era of music. Like they don't engage. Like there's so much new hip hop that's come out that they just won't even like touch. Like they don't
They
even
don't
know it's
care.
there. And I kind of love it. Like it just feels very pure to me. Like it just feels like like I don't know. It's like you're talking to folks like your uncles and stuff. And it's like they're just like, oh, well, I don't really know about that stuff. I want to talk about
Nas.
Illmatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
want to
that's
talk
that's
about.
FD.
It's like sure.
FD should be there. Like I mean he would do well there. I keep laughing, but I mean it. Like have you ever heard my uncle's takes? Like I'm telling you, like FD will I tried to put him on death grips, I think, before, and
Huh?
like he was just like mid. And I was just like, bro,
Mid?
we're disowning you. I don't know. Can we disown uncles? We're
I've
disowning
never
you.
heard anybody call death grips mid. I've heard them, dislike death grips, but that's a peculiar take.
He also said that about Little Sims, and that's when I just had it. He said he like Little Sims. Like I'm just like, okay, one
Little Sims.
misogynoir, Little Sims. He said is mid. I said one misogynoir and two like two just
One, you're
wrong.
out of here. You're gone.
It's just
You're
stop.
out. Just go. Your time is up. We
Oh
are we
God.
are done. FD is out of here.
Yeah. I don't know how he's still able to get away with it. He just these insane sorry, awful takes.
Awful takes. I feel his music taste is sometimes confusing. And when I hear his takes about music, it's not that I think horrible or whatever. It's that I'm like, I'm not sure where he's going to come down, and maybe I just need to take more time to sort of listen to more of his takes.
No, you're being too charitable. Like I'm in that era right now, like where I'm not being as charitable as I need to be anymore.
Fair.
Like because we're always looking for nuance, right? And
Yeah.
and just sometimes you're just wrong. Sometimes there's no different angles that you could look at this art piece from in order to deviate. But like no, it's just wrong.
Just
You
bad.
call Lil Sims mid, it's just bad.
Just
It's
bad.
just
That's just
not
a
good.
bad take.
It's just bad
There's
take.
just nothing
And
you can
just let's
say
move
about that.
forward.
Lil Sims is
Uh,
come on, bro.
Objectively.
Objectively amazing. Like I don't get. What does he think about MF Doom? I'm sure he likes MF Doom, right?
He hasn't said anything. He wouldn't dare say anything.
That would be
Arendt caught
dangerous.
that. Sorry,
It's I
man.
don't. I'm afraid of saying anything bad about MF Doom on the internet. I mean, you know how
And
folks
you're from
are
New
out here.
York. Please.
I
You
mean,
need
I
to make it
wouldn't say
very
anything
far.
bad about MF Doom, but if I were to be a person who would have an opinion that is negative about MF Doom, I would fear for my life on the internet. Is what I would say.
Shelf that. Shelf that. One time I said that oh God, I had disparaging remarks on Radiohead. It was you.
It was you.
You were the
It was
one
you. Let's
that
talk about it.
listen, I
Tom York.
no, he can't sing. The man can't sing. The man sounds like a cat with his nuts in a
And a,
garbage disposal.
and a cat with
Like
his nuts in
legit,
the
like
garbage.
his nuts in a vice. Have you heard him on on
Listen,
anything?
listen. The man has a beautiful voice. It's just unconventional. Okay? Just because it's unconventional and it sounds cat-like at times does not mean that he doesn't do beautiful things with his voice. It does not mean
It's
he's not capture.
true.
It's at times shrill, but the
Look,
shrillness
man.
adds flavor. Okay?
I like cornoborous, all right? Like I like awful vocals a lot of the time, like shoddy vocals. I like fucking Jesus Christ. Like name anything in the Nordic death metal realm. I can listen to that shit and that's fine. Tom York? Thomas York.
Really?
The Tom of Yorks?
This is
Nah.
what this is the see. You can't then be like talking about FD's takes and then go be like, well, I can't listen to Tom York above Nordic death metal. That's just.
I mean, Radiohead is overrated. Radiohead is extremely overrated.
But that doesn't mean anything. Like to say somebody's overrated. Like okay, like are they good or bad? Is the question. What's up, Emma?
it means that for the accolades that they get, it's inflated disproportionately to the value that I derive from it. Therefore, my value in deriving it from it ought be the basic standard for everybody else's enjoyment of it. And if it's not, then it's overrated or underrated. So if I like something and not everybody else does,
Then it's
then
underrated.
it's very underrated.
Yeah.
If I don't like something and everybody else does, then it's extremely overrated. And the quicker that we come to grips with that, I think that we will achieve world peace. Hi, Emma. Pick up yourself.
You know, I don't agree. I think that if you like something, that means it's overrated because you specifically have too much opinion clout within the YouTuber community and the music
Okay,
listening
I see what
community
you
in
mean.
general. I think, if you, frankly, and I'm speaking about you in a general sense. I'm not even speaking just
Oh, I
about
thought you
you.
meant me personally.
At first, I did, but now I'm changing it because what I really mean is if somebody likes something, it's overrated. Um, I like to dislike things in front of people who like them
I do. Me too.
just to see.
It's
Not even I don't necessarily stand by the opinion. I have very little opinions anymore.
you're a debate bro, is what you're saying.
I am a I'm a frustrate bro is what I am. Is I want to know what happens when
Outstanding.
I hurt you. I know I want
You're a political scientist.
I am a Nietzschean, yes.
Oh
I want to
God.
know what happens when I break your faith in the shared uh, enjoyment
Marketplace
of a
of
subject.
yeah.
I want to watch you sort of lose your faith in other people's opinions. Um, Otherwise,
I
I
saw
don't
someone
really
say
have
Jeff
opinions.
Buckley is good. Jeff Buckley is good.
Jeff Buckley is
So
obviously very good, obviously an amazing vocalist.
yeah.
That's kind of
And he
toxic.
died.
I know.
He died too early for him to make anything bad.
Yeah, his music was good. His vocals were amazing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if every Jeff Buckley song was amazing, but I know that every Jeff Buckley vocal performance was amazing. And
Okay.
so some of the songs themselves may have been like not exactly my cup of tea, or maybe some of the records themselves. Like Grace is a very good album, but um, and I don't usually like this kind of the way of discussing music, but like if it was a different vocalist than Grace, I don't think that a lot of the qualities would have like aside from that vocal performance would have been that stand out. Do you know what I mean?
I get
Like
it. Yeah.
I
He,
don't, if a regular singer sings "Lover," you should have come over. Is it that good of a song? But it's the fact that
uh,
Jeff Buckley's singing it. You know what I mean?
on a regular basis, I try to sing like Jeff Buckley, especially at
Good
5 o'clock
luck.
in the morning. It doesn't happen.
It's just it's
It
not
doesn't
physically
happen.
possible. It's like he has a very unique tone, obviously, but like he also just had like 17 different vocal techniques that he was cycling through. He was
He
like
had
really interested in
flows.
he was
Man
interested in
had
Indian classical
flows.
music. Like he was on some different stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had
Um,
a couple of covers of like some Indian classical vocal performances that he would incorporate, and then he would do some of that
oh,
stuff on some of the records. Like he was just like he's one of those
yeah,
folks
his
that
runs.
like one of those musicians that gets really bored of the canon because they're so good, then they just start going into other canons. Like that's how that's his level. That's his
Man,
level.
fuck. And he's such a beautiful man too. Jesus Christ. I mean, like,
Beautiful, very good looking.
yeah, no, like there was like, and he has such like a strained relationship with his dad too,
Hmm.
and I think that
That's
that's
where
just
it comes from.
interesting to see. Yeah, like, so he hates it. Like he just
That's where
always
vocal power comes from. That's where artistic
just hates your
all your
dad.
artistic power comes from the feelings you have about your parents. I have to say,
That's
the
facts.
more vigor you have about your familial relationships, the better your art is, and I will not take any further questions on that.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah, I mean,
some of the
like
shit
the
that I've
whole
written, it's all from that dark feelings of 11-year-old Elliot for sure.
11-year-old Elliot.
Yeah, that's that. Whatever you did, like the fact that I didn't get that toy car, that came in clutch when I was writing certain records. Yeah. I am Dominican. I'm Dominican Chinese. Don Armando. Thank you. Welcome to the Caribbean stream, folks. Welcome to the post-colonial Caribbean decolonial
Rice and
stream.
beans too. Rice and beans too.
Rice and beans. What's like? The Dominicans will have like like sugarcane juice, like sugarcane water.
We just gnaw on the sugar cane like straight up. Like we just like get the sugar cane. It's like fucking just go to town on it. And we
do that too.
Water.
Not put it in water. Yeah, at the same time. Sometimes like we'll just also plantains.
I want to do that now. Oh Lord, I could do with some plantain right now. But like plantain is just such like a rare art because like sometimes it's like you gotta get it like syrupy and viscous. Sometimes they be having the dry
like Maduros.
Oh yes.
You like Maduros,
yes,
yeah.
Lord. Yes.
Maduros are excellent. I like plantains in different forms though. And I'm not.
You like dry plantain?
What do you mean by dry?
Dry ass, hard ass bananas.
What are you talking about? Like fried?
I'm talking about dry. No, man. Like
no. Oh, like dry, like not cooked yet. No, I wouldn't eat it. You have to cook it.
Okay. You can tell a lot about a person if they like that shit. Like when they talk.
I've never met anyone who eats plantain.
Well, they make it.
Raw.
They make it so much. They make like so many of that, and like sometimes I get it. Like depending on where you go, like you're like, okay, yeah, let me get some plantain on the side. You get the plantain, and it's just hard. It's just hard ass. It's a banana. Like you could use this thing for stimulus, and I'm just like raw. Like who's eating this? It's not me.
Bro,
personally, it's not me.
that stuff is huge. They're just gigantic weaponry.
You see,
like
I'm not talking about.
Can't eat that.
I'm not talking about plantain chips right now. And I'm looking at you with the illest side eye because that's essentially just hard ass.
You don't like okay, well that's different. They're cooked.
No, that ain't different.
They're cooked and dry. That's different.
Come on.
You never had dried food? You don't like dried fruits or dried like I don't know, pork rinds?
No, man.
You don't.
I've never had pork rinds in my life.
No, so why are you reacting like that? So why man.
Just the thought of it. Just the thought of it. Like pork rinds.
Like I offended you in some way for suggesting the notion.
Well, one, mashallah, but like two, like I'm not Muslim, sorry. But like
when you don't want the pork, it's mashallah.
No, I love pork.
Whenever you don't want to have pork, then you can invoke the Islam for a little bit. I feel like there's a rule about that where you can just be like, I like pork, but then if I don't like this particular pork dish, mashallah. Yalla.
You just throw your hat.
Yalla. Oh no, I can't do pork. I feel like that's something. I feel like I've partaken in that a bit with my Muslim friends. Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, chips are not raw potato, and so plantain chips are not dry plantain. Arendt once again with the bars in the chat.
I'm not gonna get into this.
They're trying to gentrify pork rinds. They can have it, honestly.
They can have that shit because I ain't had it yet, and I don't.
Let us have oxtail back, and you can keep the pork.
I had oxtail today. I had oxtail and curry lamb today.
I have very rarely had oxtail. I don't remember the last time I had oxtail. It's not something that we do as often as other Caribbeans. At least not in like my sort of side of things.
You in the Bronx, right, or Brooklyn?
I'm in Queens, but like Dominicans are in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's places that'll have oxtail. Yeah, you could find it. It's just not something that because it would be like $50. You know what I mean? Like the Dominican restaurants. I don't know 50? If this is, obviously I'm exaggerating, but it would be like 25 or something. Like a platter. Yeah. I feel like they. I don't know if this is a thing for everybody. Maybe folks can respond in the chat. But I feel like there's just a thing when you are from a certain ethnicity or culture, that whenever you go to a restaurant from that ethnicity or culture, you find the prices are too much. They're too much. It's too expensive. It's like if I go to a Mexican restaurant, I'll pay anything for tacos. I will pay anything for a beautiful platter of tacos. But if I go to a Dominican restaurant and they're like mofongo or they're like, asobao, and it's like $12, I'm like, too much. What are they doing? It's like this thing. If it's a mother, and if it's a mother, forget about it, because the next line is always, I can make that at home. You can make that at home. Why would you go order that? You can't. Don't order that.
That's true.
That's every mother will do this. Every mother that's ever lived will go to a restaurant or the same background of her nation, of her nationality, and we'll go, we could just have this at home. Why would you make
Yeah.
this? Why would you order this? It's just
Yeah.
except sometimes my mother likes the Dominican food at like the local supermarket. Can't really say it's like cheap. So she's like, yeah, you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So
You mean like the bazaars, like the ones on like not in like the actual, yeah. Mhm,
and the
yeah.
bazaars in the
There's
supermarket.
something
Yeah.
romantic about that, yeah, getting like fresh food. I mean like in the in the semantic way of it. Like there's something romantic about picking fruit from the market.
Oh, I'm not
There's
talking
like
about
a
the fruit.
ritual
Like
of it.
I'm talking about the platters that they'll have. Like they'll have like the kitchen side. You know what I mean? And like a supermarket.
Okay, now that's different. You're a little bit more industrial. Well, this is
It's New
this
York.
is New York. So yeah. I mean, like when we talk about bazaars, like I'm talking about like they selling the fruit on the side of the road in their little bazaars, and like
Oh yeah.
there's a ritual of just buying that and bringing that home and then cooking that I believe is intimate and borders on the religious, maybe even the sexual. But I think that there's something there to be examined.
Yeah, when
I think
somebody
that
cuts up a
someone
fresh
cooking a
fruit
dish.
for you, oh, forget about it. Forget about it.
Yeah,
And
there's
there's
something.
a beautiful fruit dish in every culture.
Yes, exactly, Arnold. Not in the classical definition. Thank you.
What's something? I mean, if you cut
Hmm?
up I mean, you can also make it a relationship thing as well. You know, I feel like
You can.
if you want to make a good impression on your partner, cutting up some fruit for them, handing it to them on the plate, fresh fruit, be like, hey, you want some strawberries?
Yeah, that does
Unless
do it
they're
for me.
allergic.
That will also do it for me, but negatively. Yes, I'm
that
not
will
allergic
do,
to any.
that will do the other thing for you. Yes.
That would do the other thing for me. That would make me swell, but not in the good way.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. As many parts of you as well, inside of the cheek, inside of the throat. I'm like that with I can get that like that with almonds. I can get like that
really,
with certain
you have a nut
fruits.
allergy.
Not allergy, just almonds.
I mean,
Um,
almond is a nut.
yes, but just the almonds. It's like I don't have this issue with cashews or walnuts or anything.
So
Um,
you're ominous. Yeah, you're racist against almonds.
it's a bit ominous,
Yeah, shit. I mean, people have their things.
right?
Their preferences.
Put this lyric down. The almond list. It's ominous. Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, Lord, please.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. It is New Music Friday. Have you heard any of the new music that came out today? A certain Drake album came out.
Did it really?
Yeah,
Drake came out?
yeah.
Seriously?
The new
Again?
album. Yeah.
Fuck, man. This gotta stop. Man. This has gotta stop. Like, I mean, like, what is he gonna stop? What is he gonna stop? Like,
You know,
like it's just.
It sounds so funny because I I had the same thought listening to it. I was just like, oh my god, he's doing this again. I think this is album 10 and it's the same
Come
album.
on.
Like it's different, but it's the same.
Is it like the Afrobeats thing the house thing that he's trying to do now? Like,
No, I don't know. I didn't get that far because
Uh-huh.
it starts off sort of in a rap-ish direction. There's some rap records. There's a J. Cole record on there that's not too bad.
J. Cole dropped too?
J. Cole's on the new Drake album.
Oh, is he
Um,
normally not on albums with Drake?
it's been a long time since they've collabed, so that's like sort of a big deal, I suppose. A big news. There's a Drake record that he put out slightly before that's also on there with the Conductor Williams beat. He's a great producer. He's like one of those timestamp records where it's like a 8 a.m. I think it's called 8 a.m. and something.
Can't stand them shits. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know there was a theme that he was just like
Yeah,
talking
like
about
5 a.m. in
and
Toronto.
Calabasas.
Yeah.
Or Toronto, yeah, and all that. I hate.
You
So
don't like
he
those?
just does that. Why is he doing that? So he's just
People
like,
love those. I've always
God,
found
I
them pretty
can't
good.
stand them. He's
I've
so
always found those
light-skinned.
better. I've always
He's
found those
so
to be the
fucking
better
light-skinned.
ones of his like I mean, he's just rapping on them. It's not bad, right? Like he's a pretty good technical rapper. On this new one, there are good moments, and then there's a moment where he says something like, "Where I go, you go, we Yugoslavian." So many
Take it
checks
out.
owed.
I'm
I'm
about to-
Czechoslovakian.
I can't stand this man. This man is a menace. This man needs to be stopped. This man needs to be stopped.
Oh yeah, he has like a little,
Oh,
a
gosh.
cute little homophobic moment as well. On
Still in
there.
2023?
Yeah, he has like the subtle homophobia or the subtler ones. He says something like, you guys are obsessed with me. It's not a no hetero thing or something. It's like it's not.
Oh.
It's like very like blasé homophobia. It's like It's like
I don't feel like I've ever heard like overt homophobia from him.
no, no, he won't. I mean, I don't think he considers him. I think he considers himself an ally. But then he'll say some things that are just like, yeah, and that does happen in
That is
music a lot. So
that is someone that considers himself an ally. I
that
mean,
happens.
it happens.
That happens.
Definitely.
It does happen. I mean, he does the same thing with his positions on women and whatnot. So
No, that man is that like he is the misogynist, like the
he invented
misogynist. Like
misogyny. I think.
for real, like
I think he
trademark.
actually
Like
created misogyny.
I'm positive that man is a Pedialyte drinker as well. Like I mean, like
What's
for sure, for
what's
sure.
that mean?
Pedialyte drinker, you ain't know what I mean?
No, I don't
The
understand. I'm not up on
Pedialyte
that.
chat, let him know.
Well, I don't
Chat, tell him.
understand the Pedialyte thing. But what I will say is there was also an Earl Sweatshirt album that came out today with The Alchemist. I'm gonna get on
Again?
that. What
No,
do
I
you
mean
mean?
he put that shit out from time, and that's the one that like
That's
he
the one that,
attached to,
yeah, he put it on streaming now.
and it's a okay. So
He put that one on
it
the
was
NFT thing for some
yeah,
reason.
exactly. That's why people were mad with him. But
Yeah,
apparently, like it was really good too.
yeah. I mean, he does make really good music. I wasn't sure. I'm not loving the NFT thing, but I also it's probably what I imagine. You know how like when you have artists that you really like, and then they do something that you don't like, they do something a little messed up or whatever. I mean, the NFT thing is a bit more on the innocuous side, but like in this
Yeah.
instance, they do something like that, and then you're sitting there and you're like, well, he probably got tricked into it. Somebody probably told him, like it was probably 2020 when he agreed to it. It was early. He didn't know exactly what he was doing. The contract played out very long. You know what I mean? Like I'm like calculating these different timelines of like what happened that made it so that that happened. You know what I mean?
So now you see what
Oh,
Pedialyte
I
means. Yes.
understand what you. Now I understand what you mean. Yeah, 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 yeah.
What? Yeah, with Earl. I mean, he's gonna go down. He's an MF Doom clone. I mean, but he's
Better. It's
really.
not too bad of a person to clone if you're gonna clone somebody.
I think he's like
You're
one of
not
the most
copy somebody.
faithful.
Well,
Like,
he's picked up on a lot of MF Doom from the
yeah,
beginning of his career since he was like the
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
And he's also picked up a lot on the recent more like sometimes people call it like post rap, but like sort of what Arm and Hammer are doing, like Billy Woods,
Oh, okay,
what
yeah. Abstract hip
Mike.
hop type thing.
Yeah, I
Mm,
really get into that stuff. That's what I usually am listening to nowadays, hip hop wise. I'm usually listening to Mike. I'm usually listening to
oh my
Alchemist
God, that's
Productions. I'm listening to some
Billy
Griselda
Woods,
stuff. Billy
yeah,
Woods.
the poet. Like he's just amazing.
It's just,
I
it's
mean,
just,
it's like
it's
that
just.
drumless. I think he's on like that drumless wave
Ka
too. But
does that
again,
too. Ka is, I don't know if you,
Ka is my favorite. Ka is like my favorite best kept secret. Like honestly, like
it's just so strange. I don't know if there's like if I'm just like, if it's he's intentional on his part or something, but it's like he'll put these albums out and it's like at the same time, it'll be like super acclaimed and also super under the radar. It's like all the people who know about it are just like, yeah, Ka just made the album of the year. And he's just kind of, yeah. And then he just moves
yeah,
on.
it's kind of like an obliteration of like the mainstream, right? Because I mean, like a lot
Yeah.
of things that nobody is underground anymore. The underground and the mainstream
Right.
has kind of closely itself together. So
Yeah, there's
because
still like a
everybody's
pop layer, but it's very fragile.
yeah, and I mean like I don't know. I'm positive that there's like too many video essays on this already, but it's just very difficult to because everybody has their own communities because it's just the internet has basically homogenized almost everything. Everybody's being influenced by everything. ASAP Rocky sounds like he's from like Houston.
Yeah, that was the
You know,
early telltale
yeah,
sign of like the changes. Yeah,
yeah. So it's just really hard. I'm
it's a
trying to. I'm. Tr
yeah, it's one of these things. It's sort of people will sometimes say like there's a no more monoculture. Is what people will say. There's not
mm,
there's a lack of a thing that we all come together and sort of engage with and like consume as like an overall popular
yeah.
media audience. You know, I remember back when Drake used to drop an album, like in 2013, it was like everybody heard the album and everybody was talking the next day at school or work, like, oh, what did you hear? Did you like this track? Da da da. Oh, he messed up on this one. You know, like it was just like a whole thing where
Yeah.
everybody had a take. And now it's like
Oh
Drake drops an
man.
album and like half of the world is just like not even sure if it's out yet or whatever, you know.
It's incredible. Like, I mean, but that's the internet. Like, it's basically brought us closer as far as just like made everything so accessible, but at the same time, alienated us from everybody else.
It's very alienating, and
Uh,
sometimes in a good way. Like sometimes, like it separates you from like before. As I started to sort of get more disillusioned with like mainstream popular music, I would be feeling this kind of void because it's like, man, like it's hard to relate to people as much when I can't talk to them
mhm.
about the things that are supposed to be popular, and I don't feel the same enjoyment with it, and I feel like these reservations about the background of it, you know, the ethics and stuff. And nowadays, it's like I feel good that I'm missing out actually. Like there used to be an urge
Actually,
in me to say something about the Drake album, and now I have this feeling where I can just kind of not even talk about it, and I feel good because I can just focus on this other stuff, and the people who
uh,
get it. You know what I mean? And that's all I
yeah, the
need to
girls that
know.
get it, the girls that
The
don't.
girls that
I
don't.
mean, you got Ophelia's talking about the Navy Blue album
Navy
and
Blue is good. I
it
heard I
goes
liked a
on,
couple of
yeah.
those good records.
Like neo soul type of stuff.
Yeah, it's like he's in the more on the soul sample end of that. I like Makami, although
Yeah,
you will get
I
sometimes
can.
like very like hustle culture bars from from
From Griselda in general,
and
I mean, and then
Makami.
you, yeah,
Makami
what's
had like a
his
whole Gary
face?
V interlude on his
Oh my
one of his
God.
albums at the end of the year, and I was like, oh man, I gotta. I'm like, do I have to let Makami go? I don't know if I can let this go. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear this.
I mean, but like it's like the only Haitian dub in a while. Like I mean,
It's hard.
after after Kodak Black, I mean, like Haitian's been taking L's for so long.
Many
Like
would argue that Kodak Black was an L in and of himself.
oh,
It's a
such
tough
a
one with him.
he's
Um,
a walking L.
and
Um,
Makami is just an incredible lyricist,
oh,
incredible writer. Um, and I think the way he incorporates the Creole, like he really wears it. Like it's not a thing where it's just a side. Like, oh, did you happen to know that Makami's Haitian? Like he will tell you immediately that he's
I was like,
Haitian.
oh, you happen to know.
Well, you happen to know the ethnic background of Makami? It's like no, he's got a Haitian flag bandana around at all times. Um,
Mojo 97 is Haitian. Like I like I know she's just like holy
Listen,
fuck.
first of
Like
all,
it's just so bad.
solidarity with my with our
Yeah,
brothers, with our
there you go.
family over there because they're trying to tear us apart as always. But those are our family, and we need to take care of our family. You know,
It's the same landmass,
it's
fam.
the same land.
It's the same land. Like
You
that's
know,
anytime like I be talking to like people like when they talk about like Haitian invasions, like we talked about this before, but like anytime like when people talk about there's a fascist movement in the Bahamas right now. Shocker, right? But like
everywhere they're popping up.
literally yeah, it's just popping up everywhere. Like thanks, you know, Western export of fascism. But essentially like you had like one of these zealots totally taken out of the Trump book going into Haitian shanty towns, which are just basically propped up on clapboard houses, like just wooden houses in the villages, far away from like the remote, like it's just very remote
Hmm.
away from everything in the Bahamas, mostly occupied by Haitians. And like you had this guy that's trying to get like some type of political power, and he came in with an artillery rifle, and he's going around just like, if the government won't send these Haitians back, I will. And like he's like licking off rounds into the air. I'm just like, fam, what are you doing? Like I'm just like,
Hmm.
bro, like it's like 9 o'clock at night. People are sleeping, and you've brought an AK-47 into a Haitian village, and you're threatening to send people. How? Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Do you think that they're gonna get on a boat right now, like, and go back? Like, how have you thought about this at all? And that's when you realize, no, he hasn't. Like, he's just trying to get spectacle. Of
Yeah,
course, it's on Facebook Live,
yeah.
because Facebook is the hub for everything.
It's
But yeah,
6 9 diplomacy. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna show up and just do a whole politic thing at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's, I mean, fascism. So, for one of the videos we worked on recently about, um, I believe it was the third places one. Yeah, we talk about this book by.
bye.
Thank you. It did really well. I mean, I'm just so flattered. Uh,
It's
I've had a
it's
lot of videos do really well, and I watch them, and I'm like, I could have done better than that. Really? Uh,
I don't know how you do so many videos in such a short amount of time and still pack the punch that you do. It's doesn't
drugs.
make sense. Okay, I was thinking that was like the second reason in my handbook. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
there's
addiction.
got to be some, yeah,
It's
mundane.
definitely a hassle. It is something where I've had to figure out my pipeline, like my
Mm,
pathway where and I'm trying to sort of learn how to now have more fun with it and be less stressed about it.
yeah.
But I also had to learn like how do I sort of read, parts of books that will get me the things I can talk about for the video, but I can't read an entire book for this because I don't have the time. I also have my
Mm,
job and stuff like that. For this,
mm-mm.
yeah, for that one, it was the Clara Mate book about it's called the Capital Order, and it really is. It takes a great amount of. It's about austerity, right? But it takes a great amount of time to showcase how liberalism and fascism are so intertwined and they work
Yeah.
hand in hand with each other. And this is something that you kind of never like about, but you never get the sort of articulation of it from people like as clearly as that because for instance like in the US it's the whole thing of like, oh, the two parties are the same. It's a two-party system, really it's a one-party system. And you kind of don't get that it's like, oh well, it's just because this political parties are corrupt, or it's oh, it's because they're all bought out by rich people. But it's like, no, it's like this is actually how it works, is that you have a liberal order and then you have a fascist order that continually work off of each other to maintain the capital order, right? And whenever liberalism kind of finds itself beat up and in trouble, and capitalism finds itself in these periods of crisis, the fascists
Mm.
show up.
It's a pendulum. Yeah. It
Yeah,
swings.
they're like, we
Yeah.
need the fascists, we need Mussolini to show up and take control of Italy for a while and force everybody into these deep austerity policies and exile these people and genocide these people. Like we need somebody to come around, blame some immigrants, blame some LGBTQ plus folk, kill a few people, be a bit out of whack, be a bit
Mm.
wacky and loopy, as some people might say, I suppose. And then we'll just use that as a way to say like, oh well, we don't really appreciate or approve of the message that they're delivering, but then also we'll fund that as the
Mm-hmm.
liberals. Like the liberal institutions welcome this, and then they get to not only use the work done by the fascists to stamp out, the working class and the middle class's efforts to sort of fight the capital order, to sort of have, unionization efforts and striking efforts and activism for different marginalized groups. But then they get to also be like, wow, but that guy's really mean, isn't he? Wouldn't you prefer a nicer person? And maybe we'll even give you like a little social program. It's gonna be great. And then everybody votes for the liberal again, and everybody's like, "Oh, thank God! We got that other guy out of there, and now we have a little bit of, we have like 5 cents for healthcare now. It's going better. It's going better than it was before. It's like amazing. It's like a amazing dialectical relationship, like a good cop bad
Um,
cop kind of thing. That
yeah, and like it's very purposeful.
yeah.
Like I mean that the thing about it is not just that this happened and just haphazardly. Like this was designed. And
Mm-hmm.
not only that, but it's just a prepackaging of ideologies. Like when we read political philosophy about it, it it's determined that it all went to shit with liberalism, like in specifics, like with the Lockean style liberalism before, like
Let's talk
that's what
about
it.
John Locke. I
Oh,
know philosophy man in a philosophy land has like
oh
takes.
God, I mean, like fucking John Locke, man. But I mean, it's not gonna matter. Like, I mean, he's British. What could you do? But I mean, like, it all went to shit there. Before then, people read political philosophy. And then here we go. And like he comes in with like this prepackaged ideology that you could just subscribe to. You don't have to really think about it. You don't have to really talk to anybody else. And given and shouts out to Hannah Arendt, probably like the if you really want to break down my philosophy and my political philosophy, if you read Hannah Arendt, Arendt, German Jewish philosopher. Probably like the only big political thing that I've taken out of my entire graduate program was Hannah Arendt. And essentially, like she talks about this idea of the public and the private and the overlap being the social. If there's a Venn diagram, there's the public on one side, there's private on the next side, and then in the middle, there's the social. And the public being where politics happens because it's supposed to be unpredictable, it's supposed to be out in the open, it's supposed to be things that like literally are built on this correspondence and engagements and negotiations between two different bodies or a bunch of different bodies in general. And then you got the private where love, like familiarity, these things influence inside religion, all of these things happen. And then in the social is where those things like kind of overlap. Shout out to Calvin, who fucked things up even more. And then Locke, man, Locke just comes through and just fucks it all up. Because I mean, like, man just comes through and it's just like, okay, we're just gonna prepackage it all together. And classical conservatism all came out, and classical liberalism, and he basically said, okay, you don't have to like debate about these things, about like what political philosophy is, or like what you believe in, what do you think is the best cracy, or the way that like you should rule. You could just say, hey, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am there. Then you had like you had classical conservatism, you had classical liberalism, you had a bunch of different ideas of scientific movements that were all propping up at the same time, and nobody people forgot. Then you get into the postmodern thing with Foucault, like then you forgot like what exactly these prepackaged ideologies even meant, and you just say, okay, I'm this and I'm that,
Mm-hmm.
and before you realize, like, you're arguing about things that you can't even agree upon. Now, where I would quibble and shake my fist at my major professor about with is, and this is like the problem with postmodern like analytics, is just like, okay, so now you're going to get into an area where you're going to get very transphobic, and you're also going to get very rigid about binaries and everything like that. And there's like that part, like not many people talk about, like when it comes to postmodernism and Foucault, because like there is like a vein against postmodernism. There's a lot to be criticized, but there's also like the next vein where they're just like, oh, you know, we need to be able to understand or take for granted the things in the world. Like if I'm calling you, if I see that you're a he, and I can just say that you're a he, then what does that mean for the predictability of political discourse if we can't decide upon what is
We can't
actually
even have an
this?
agreeable fabric in the social.
We can't agree. We can't agree
We
that
can't
this is a
even know
table.
what's a thing anymore. You don't even have it. I
If
mean,
this is a chair,
I've
it
had
looks like a
these.
chair.
I've had these
It's
kinds of
really difficult.
conversations with people. Not really conversations, but I've come across this kind of line of argument before about like this need for like we have to have a standard, we have to have a
Mhm,
moral standard, we have to have a social standard, and you can't just make things up, right? And
mhm,
you know, when you grow up in a sort of conservative environment, you get to tend towards that a lot. You kind of take that point for granted as like, yeah, like we do need to have a standard. Like what happens if people just decide that they can change the rules of gender, da da da, and you don't realize that like the only reason that these things exist and are so reinforced is because they serve to maintain an order, right? They serve
mhm,
to maintain a hegemony, and that hegemony doesn't just exist because some people are mean. It exists because that reinforces who gets power and who doesn't, and that means that the people who have power get to keep that power. You know, like we know that capitalist, like we sometimes think of capitalism as being this like one of these gigantic many branches of these different trees and all these different problems, and like, oh my gosh, how are we going to attend to all of them? But really it kind of just is one thing that expands
mhm,
into all these directions, which I think is sort of a central tenet of like Marxism, is that understanding of like, not that I think some people will take it as like, oh, you know, like it's all economics. At the end of the day, it's all that matters is like this sort of this class struggle, and then everything else is
mhm.
peripheral. But that's not what it is. It's
Uh,
like all these things are part of class struggle that emerge as you have to reinforce this idea of why you have all this money and everybody else doesn't, and why some people have to succeed and some people don't, right? And there's, when you have that, then you have these policies that come to back it up, and all these social movements and cultural movements, and then you of course have the use of force, and you have fascism, and you create all
mhm,
these wedges and these divisions, but they serve to just reinforce the fact that ultimately it's about maintaining the power in certain places, and that power is material, and it's also ideological because it has to be. But the ideologies almost always follows the thing that is part of the person's condition, right? The conditions are almost always like there, and then somebody has to come up with ideas to back it up. Like that's what John
Hmm.
Locke's whole thing was, is that he was a buddy of all these rich aristocrats that were interested in making these sort of liberal reforms, but also being, being able to sort of move past, right, like uh, empire, move past
Hmm.
the crown, and be able to, bring more power to the aristocracy and to land ownership and to these folks.
Exactly.
And now you have to have an ideology that backs that up. So what we do? Well, the only thing that matters is life and property and property, and just as long as you respect private property and you're nice to each other, that's what matters. That's what humans need. And it's like now you wonder why liberalism can go into all these different directions and find a way to make everything liberal. It's because it's supposed to back it up. It comes afterwards, which
Hmm.
I think is a fundamental flaw oftentimes in like how humans think, is we often just come up with things to justify why we don't have to
Our
do the thing we
reality.
don't want to
Yeah.
do. And that's sort of a part of how the ruling class works as well. I mean, neoliberalism, same thing. It's like we had to come up with a reason why we're going to fucking murder Salvador Allende. So we got to come up with, hey, actually, if you do all these tests about economics runs really well, if you do all these tax cuts and da da da, and we're actually creating a new version of liberalism. Like you got to do all these things. You got to do all these
And
songs
just
and
and just
dances.
lower the age of consent already. Like I don't understand. Like I'm sorry. Like
It always
I
comes
just
into some sort of like, yeah, some sort of abuse
it
part of it too. Yeah.
the neoliberals in particular, because like I've had to go and fight a lot of them, like literally physically, like a lot of people inside the MMA circle for some reason very
Oh,
neoliberal, like
very
when
right
they're not
wing, very right
elk,
wing.
yeah, when they're not eating elk, they are talking about lowering the age of consent.
Jamie,
I'm
pull
just
that
like,
up.
fam,
Jamie, pull up
yeah.
that video of a pull up that video of a fucking gorilla ripping a tree apart. Oh my god, look at that thing. That's every Joe Rogan
Oh,
episode, and
I
it's
was
all
trying to
like,
talk to I was talking to
yeah.
Johnny Harris about like his Joe Rogan thing, because I was just like, because how many people? Is there anybody in here that any staff from Nebula in here that's going to get me in trouble? No, I don't think so. But yeah, like, so I was talking to Johnny Harris, and like, because he did like this video on Joe Rogan, and I'm just like, fam, this is wild. Like, why would you do this? And I'm like, did you want to like go on to Joe Rogan or something like that? I don't know if you ever seen it. I don't know if you know Johnny Harris,
Johnny
but
Harris
like,
is a pretty popular YouTuber, right? And he has like some of these takes
very,
that have gotten like some economic stuff. I think got some responses about him being
yeah.
off about some economic points and stuff like that.
It's who people subscribe to as kind of like an entry point. I think like he's a good entry point, and he makes beautiful map porn, like amazing map porn. Like he makes like the most sexy maps. But
Love a map.
like I, well, map also is an abbreviation for something that's extremely problematic. But we do love paper maps. Minor attractive person.
Whoa!
Um,
Wow! Like I'm so behind on all of this, and I think I'm glad that I was behind. I wish to go back to being behind.
I am working on I don't know, but I'm working on this video right now.
Oh,
Yeah, it's rough,
yeah.
but yeah, all of these communities they kind of talk together. So I found out about that,
Oh.
and like I wanted to like do like a parody, like I'm the map, but like I was just like, nah,
No,
this
no,
is not
no, no,
even,
no. It's
it
just at a
doesn't,
certain point.
it's not even,
At a certain point, you just gotta like baseball
just say
bat.
this is terrible and just keep
Yeah.
it moving. But no, Johnny, like he did like a jerk off piece for Joe Rogan, and I'm just like, fam, this is you
Tough.
just spent an hour just milking man, like just like getting man good. And like he's just like, no, I think that he's rather misunderstood, and I think that like it's a lot more complicated. I'm just like, bro, like what do you mean? And he just after a while he stopped replying, which I mean, fair.
Fair.
But like it's amazing how far-reaching like that side, Joe Rogan side. Like I used to watch Joe Rogan when I started BJJ in particular, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like I started watching Joe Rogan. I used to be watching that, and like I was just like, raw, this sounds interesting. This sounds interesting. And then for
Mm-hmm.
some reason I just fell out of it. There wasn't anything like one particular thing that just like got me to stop and divest in Joe Rogan. But like at a certain point, I was just like, okay, this isn't. I've grown out of this. Let me just stop watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that man, it was right before he went on this transphobic arc, and I was just like, well, great. I'm glad I got out of there in
Yeah.
time.
Sometimes
Because I was
things
just like,
reveal themselves. Yeah.
I feel like something subconsciously
You.
revealed itself to me. And I was just like, yeah, gotta get off this ship. Like, they.
Joe Rogan, I think, is a fascinating phenomenon that I've taken some time to think about in the past, because I wouldn't say I had a Joe Rogan phase. I would say that there have been sometimes I've watched videos of Joe Rogan's interviews. I've watched some clips and stuff. Particularly, I would tend like to watch some of the clips where he would have like scientists on to talk about like health science or like weightlifting stuff, fitness
Mhm.
stuff, martial arts stuff. I mean, I started getting into watching MMA over the pandemic, when the pandemic started. That was a big
Mhm.
moment for like the UFC kind of broke out, and so I would watch some of his videos about like the fights and stuff like that to learn. And there's this feeling you get at first of like, oh well, this is a person who is very prominent, who has like this knowledge, or like has some degree of being able to put this knowledge forward in a podcast. And you also get this sense of like, well, he seems like a knucklehead. Like he definitely seems like he doesn't know a lot about certain things and is kind of a jerk, but he must be well-meaning, right? Like he must be like a
Yeah, he's,
well-meaning,
he's just
open-minded
asking
jerk,
questions.
and he'll have people on different sides of the political spectrum on, as they say, right? And he'll have these conversations with people where he'll sometimes like be like, well, actually, I have a very leftist position on this, right? And he'll have like this kind of
Yeah.
very very kind of like milk toasty. I don't know how to describe it, but just like he has this way of shape shifting to be meeting his guests, and he has
Mhm.
this way of like when he has a scientist on, really being like pro science, for instance. But then he'll have other people on, like certain comedians, and then he'll be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe the vaccines will kill you. And I think
Yeah.
you get to notice this tendency of him being this kind of soothsayer, this kind of like just entertainer, that all he does is sort of have this fascination with this idea of knowledge and not so much about the kind of critical thinking that goes behind actually having it. He's a person that loves to
Mm.
sort of be. I mean, it's like when you remember those Ty Lopez ads where people it would be the guy with
Oh,
the
Jesus.
books. Yeah,
Yeah.
the knowledge, right? Like there's this very fetishized idea of like a specific kind of like knowledge seeking, similar to what
Hmm.
happened with like Stoicism, that is popular among a lot of
Mm.
the bro community, about among a lot of sort of like higher middle class to rich people, bro science folks that have this interest in sort of developing themselves into seeming like the more like intellectuals as well as physically developed, and all these kinds of things. But ultimately, they have like no interest in actually critically examining themselves and thinking about relating with other people and what the things that they do in relating with other people have as an effect on other people, right? Like this is one of the critical
Hmm.
things that a lot of people just never confront because it can be so difficult. I actually had a conversation with Zoe B earlier today to talk about something for
Damn,
the
that was
upcoming
quick.
video. Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you to Jesse Gender.
nah, Zoe is, yeah, Jesse was, yeah,
Zoe's
like Zoe is goes hard.
Zoe's legit. Zoe's super legit. And we were talking about schooling, and there's this thing that people do where they cannot see them like it's when sometimes we call it like main character syndrome and things like this, but like
Mm.
a lot of it comes down to this inability to reckon with the fact that everybody is interconnected in these ways, and that the ways that we're interconnected to other people have these massive impacts on us, like understanding ourselves not just as subjects but as objects. Like it's like we have to think of ourselves as subject and other people as object, and so that there are other
Right.
people that are bad and they're characteristically bad, and then there's us who can be good and bad, but ultimately we're good. And we think about all these different things that we don't have a coherent way of dealing with the fact that ultimately there's certain things in our lives we can't control, and there's certain aspects of who we are as people and a part of what we do that we can't control, that have been subject to us, like that we've been subject to because of dominance, because of domination, and that the way other people live is because of this like same like it's all patterns that come down to people being part of systems, right? Like it's what we call like
Hmm.
systems, right? It's like people you have kids in a class, and some kids don't pay as much attention because they have trouble having engagement in class. They have trouble having engagement in class because they may have trouble at home, because they recognize that school is ultimately soul crushing, and that they don't want to spend all of this time absorbing this information they don't care about into their brain to regurgitate it so that they can get a grade, when they could be spending that time putting things that they actually care about in their brain so they can learn about real things. Like, people have all this implicit stuff that gets warped out of them. And I guess I got here because there's this, it's sort of this big part of liberalism as well, because the whole, people use the term like individualism a lot now too, about like how we have this ruthlessly individualistic culture or whatever. But I think it ultimately comes down to this idea of liberalism being this idea like of autonomy without any type of relation to others, of this ideal of being completely unencumbered by other people and being completely able to make your own decisions. And as long as you make the good decisions because you're a good person, then then everything else should never be your fault, should never be anything that you critically think about, because you're a good person and you think and you are smart. And there's all of that desire to sort of kind of self-develop in that kind of way. And so knowledge becomes this sort of pathway to performing a type of self-development. And it's not actually something that you utilize to recognize, like, oh, this is why this person is being oppressed. This is why this person is not working very well. This is why I did this wrong. This is why this part of my personality has been hurting myself and other people. Like, you don't do that to critically think. You just use it as a way to self-develop so that you can say to the liberalism gods, hey, see, like, I've developed well. I've done my job. Now I deserve good things, right? I went on a gigantic tangent there, but I guess with Joe Rogan, that's what I see is like this. It's like this just, it's just this complete different approach to sort of the idea of knowledge in general.
I mean, like with Joe, like you're right. Like there's a bunch of different things, and I want to engage with the story, the narrative aspect of life in general. There being protagonist and an antagonist, and the need for that, and how problematic that is, because we see that play out a lot, like in YouTube in particular. But with Joe Rogan, I think like there's like only a few things that are consistent. As you say, like he's a chameleon. Like he will fit and he will change shapes and morph depending on who he's around and what rooms he's in. And I think that served him quite a bit to get where he's wanted to get. But I think that the whole trans woman in sports thing is like a hill he will die on. Like he will talk about Bernie Sanders, oh, I'll be Bernie Sanders and everything like that, but in the same breath, say something extremely regressive, conservative, and neoliberal and capitalist,
and just wrong,
which
things.
is wrong. just
sometimes you have comments that are like, "What? Is there not any points about conservatism that you do agree with?" And it's just like, let's just be clear, it's about wrong, right? There's certain things being wrong. It's not about you thinking they're on a spectrum,
But he's just absolutely that's one thing that he'll die on. Maybe like some MMA stuff, but like for sure that, and like free speech. Like he's and of course like he has to say that, harking back to what you were just saying before, because it fits in his narrative. It's something that he has to employ in order to justify the bullshit that he's gonna say. And like it's interesting. I saw someone talking about like phases in here. Like I saw someone talking about like a Chrissy phase. And by Chrissy, like I'm wondering if you mean like the Chrissy, like Black Chrissy, like diversisphere, like conservative Black woman Chrissy, because that's interesting. That means that like you got some like deep Black women femmes inside
I'm not
inside the
familiar,
chat.
so I thought she meant Chrissy Teigen. I didn't know what.
Maybe, but who has a Chrissy Teigen phase? I don't think that anybody has it.
Twitter did for a while. Remember, there was a whole thing of Chrissy Teigen being the main character on Twitter. I don't know. Anyway,
Wrong. Maybe I'm out of the loop. But yeah, I immediately think maybe it's my intersections that take me to the Black Chrissy rather than Chrissy Teigen. But like, it's interesting to see the phases. Like, it's interesting to know that like I had like a Jordan Peterson. I mean, yeah, no, not a Jordan. I had a Ben Shapiro phase. I did, like in political science. Yeah, I know. But like I did, like right in my undergrad, like when I was a sophomore, like yeah, hard.
you were like
Ben
19.
Shapiro. Yeah, like 90, exactly. Like, and if I had a YouTube channel, I'd have been, listen, I've said this before, like, I'd have been the best Black conservative ever. Oh my God. My hairline is still there too. Like, y'all wouldn't be able to clock me, but like, I'd have been the best at it. Yes, okay, yes, great. I am talking about the best Chrissy. Yeah, so this is the Black Chrissy. I was right. I'm gonna get to that in a second, money. But like, it's interesting that I had the Ben Shapiro phase, the Joe Rogan phase, and like all of these are like the new groomers. Like, I mean, these are just different avenues of grooming, right? Because I am now in college, and really what ended up happening is I swapped and substituted my parents as groomers, and I've now left the nest, and now I have to find new groomers. We're looking for a God, right? So like, I mean, like we're looking for someone to follow, to tell us what to do.
Mm,
We say that we want the free will, we say that we want autonomy, but a lot of the times we don't. We just want free will to choose someone to tell us what to do.
right,
And I was looking desperate for some type of, okay, tell me how to dress, tell me how to look, tell me how to access the resources that I want in order to perform success, so that my parents can love me, my father could be proud, I can live the archetype of what I'm supposed to by
right,
all metrics of success, and then die. Um, and I'm trying to find someone to go and guide me in that way, and everywhere else wasn't that. So like Shapiro was there, and this is the part where it's the democratization of options of grooming needs to be looked at. Like that's why it's important that you're here, that I'm here, the FD's here, that Jesse Gender. If it wasn't for Jesse Gender, I would have probably, if it wasn't for Cap Black and Jesse Gender, I would have probably ended up never interacting knowledgeably with any trans folk and not knowing anything substantive
right,
about the trans experience in general.
right.
If it wasn't for Cat Black and Jesse Jen. Jesse's the first trans person that I've ever hugged. Like probably the only person like that I know in, like knowledgeably, because I mean like everybody could be trans, I wouldn't even know.
Right.
But like the first person I knowledgeably like interacted with that was trans. Um and that was like, and I don't know if like Jesse is still in the chat, but like yeah, like I hugged Jesse so tight because I was just like, this is amazing. Like this is, how often do you get to meet someone that has influenced your worldview in such like
Mm,
an irrevocable way? And really all it is essentially me looking for some type of refuge of meaning,
yeah,
depending on where. And
yeah,
like if the options are there, like Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro is a lot easier of an accessible option for me to find to be groomed than than FD signifier, than you, then I will be able to find Blair White far quicker than I could find Jesse Jenner.
hmm,
And I'll be more, and me at that age would have been more receptive to Blair White than Jesse Jenner
right,
because of the packaging and because she's reinforcing the
yeah,
very things that are already reinforced in society already.
yeah,
So like when you see Chrissy, like for Black women and femmes, like Chrissy is yet just another form of Black womanhood grooming.
mm,
Like they're just telling you to say, okay, go to fancy bars so you could find like a nice white man to take you out of Blackistan, which is the reality of engaging in impoverished dating with Black men and mask and Black women and femmes. Like that into that's called Blackistan side of it. You're getting into some deep Black law right now. But like
education.
that is like a way of grooming. Like basically you just have like different ways of grooming. So now I have all of my political science degree basically was conservative political science,
Yeah,
like pedagogy.
including
Like
Hannah
when people
Arendt.
talk, ooh, you see that, right? You see that? I know, but I still love the fuck out of Hannah Arendt. I will die on that.
It's a tough hill to die on, but you do. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, also the points that you made about her philosophy. There's a lot that you can, especially from the place that you were at. You
Yeah,
know, Hannah
precisely.
Arendt is like freaking.
Yep, yep.
Hannah Arendt
That's what I
is Almay Césaire at that point. You know what I mean?
that's why I said like if you want to understand like my political philosophy and like the trajectory that I've had to have, read Hannah Arendt, read Human Condition, read de Tocqueville, read the majority of like texts that we had to consume
Right.
for a D1 institution in political science from my undergrad to my graduate was very conservative in upbringing. And you will still have people trying to say that, oh, these institutions are liberal, these institutions are turning people into leftists. As you can see, these reinforce and re-echo and reiterate society as we know it.
Yeah, they're
I
liberal
had
in
to
the
learn
Lockean sense.
precisely. I learned the majority. I basically had to unlearn and also just use what I do know about conservative philosophy and try to look at it in a new framing now. I'm like, okay, so I'm looking back at Kant, I'm looking back at Locke, I'm looking back
Mm,
at Arendt, I'm looking back at
mm.
Machiavelli, and I'm just like now turning it around and saying, okay, from a leftist interpretation of all of this, what does that mean? It unlocks like a whole. So when you read Human Condition, when you read Hannah Arendt now, knowing Hannah Arendt's political leanings and like looking at it from a leftist analysis and understanding the historical conditions that she was in when she was writing, I'm like, oh fuck. It's just like you didn't stand a chance. Like
I
you know,
mean,
you
she
did
was
not
Heideggerian, right?
precisely.
Like,
Precisely.
and she was
Precisely.
quite. I mean, I don't remember exactly the details, but she was quite faithful to Heidegger in many respects, and in some of the
Yeah.
respects that are, not great
Okay.
about being Heideggerian, about Heidegger.
No.
I
And they taught that to susceptible 21 something year olds and everything and called and gave me a degree for it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, that's what happens. I do have like, because a podcast was essentially my sort of path into like learning about philosophy in recent times, and I realized that I haven't spoken to you about it. I haven't like recommended the podcast to you, but I talk about it sometimes on the
Mhm.
channel. I post sometimes on the Instagram story too. But it's called
Sure.
What's Left of Philosophy, and it is this group of sort of leftist philosophers essentially who have like some of them have pretty strong Twitter presences too, but they come together and they have these really riveting conversations about these philosophers, and it's been my entryway into understanding a lot of this stuff from like a outsider's perspective as well, starting to get deeper into
Mm.
certain weeds and be able to pick from it. So we had to have a conversation about that in private because I want to like converse with you about that. But I will say
Mhm.
like it is this thing about reinforcing while also changing that people are very captivated by. You want somebody that you
Mm.
can find that will reinforce certain parts to say that you're doing certain things right, and then also here's some stuff that you can
Tweet
change.
this.
Tweak
Yeah.
this. Do the same thing you were doing before, but tweak it. And that can go in many different directions because people, ultimately people are very gentle and sensitive. It's very hard to go from one end of the spectrum of political polarity to a complete different one, but even just like behaviorally, even just in terms of your interests. Like I'm a dude who has always watched sports. I've always been a guy about this. I've always been a real dude about it, and
I hate watching sports.
I have found it to be a big part of my life. And I have found that when I come across people who are able to talk about sports or talk about some of these other things I take interest in some way, it makes me soften and it makes me go, oh, this person's on my side. And so then I can listen to the other part of what they have to say. And
Mm.
especially when you
Right.
don't have a roadmap of like what are the red flags politically, sometimes it takes a lot of time to recognize red flags and to know what to do about them. It's just with people in general, right? Like the older you get, the more that you know when a red flag shows up and you're like, I'm not going to deal with this. But when you're 19, 20, you're kind of like, I'm not sure. And I have to see this for myself. But then unfortunately, that puts you in a position where a lot of people can take you for a ride,
Yeah.
because you don't have that red flag sensitivity yet. Fascism is one of those things. There's sometimes, I have interacted with a person recently. I don't want to say too much, but that I know in my personal life that
Oh.
I have found has sort of found like turned to some fascist leanings, and I didn't really know them very well, but I'm having to sort of converse with them about it, and I find that this person has, for one, like a lot going on in terms of like real
Mm.
crises of emotion and of brain crises, like just like struggling with thoughts, struggling with self-loathing
Mhm.
and belonging, and it becomes this person was telling me how much they really wish that things wouldn't change to some degree, because they recognize everything is changing, everything is fluid, everything is a cycle, and everything is just a matter of interpretation. But that's not comforting, and that's not
Yeah.
that's completely disillusioning in a lot of ways, because how do you operate when everything is subjective and everything is completely fluid, and everything is constantly changing? Like, how do you get to stand on a pillar and say, this is what I believe in and this is what I'm going to do with my life? And ideally, you sort through that, and you just do the best that you can, while also knowing that it's going to be changing. This is something Simone de Beauvoir writes about in Ethics of Ambiguity, which is something that I had read for my upcoming video. But it's this, I think the ambiguity part is like so strong, because sometimes you'll come across folks that will be like, you bring a lot of nuance to the table, and I'm so glad that you're able to look at both sides and see what's correct, and it's like, that's not it. That's not it. I'm not a centrist. I'm not a person who looks at two sides and go, oh, such polarity, I suppose I'll go down the middle. Like, that's not the way you do things. But it's the ambiguity.
If you did, you would make a lot more money.
I would. But it's the ambiguity that is the real kicker. It's the real beast that, frankly, there's many leftists, people who maybe we could consider peers, or people who are like online, whatever, personalities, philosophers, authors, whoever, who, despite having some good politics in some areas, we can say, are unable to wrestle with the ambiguity. And so whenever they are challenged with something that has to say, like, hey, maybe you might need to change, or maybe you might need to admit at the very least your lack of authority over this, for instance, like your lack of ability to be definitive, your need to consistently adapt and evolve with new information, your need to consistently separate the path that you're taking in the present tense with some sort of absolute knowledge or absolute truth about the world. It's like folks just crumble in front of that, because ultimately they need to have that feeling like the thing that they're doing in the present is also the thing that is good and true in the absolute. It can't just be that I am a writer. I have to believe that writing is the way to speak to God. Like, I have to believe that writing is the most important way for us to exercise our creativity. And I have to share these posts on my Instagram story about writing being a thing that's so great and beautiful, and all these quotes, because I have to reinforce this idea in my head. Like, there's some sort of absolute truth behind it, like a religious thing behind it, that verifies that what I am doing in the present is connected to something godly, is connected to something that is existentially forever true. But there's no forever truth, right? Like, that's just not
That
how
is
it
so
works.
specific. I don't know. Like, if the person that you talk about is in the audience, they definitely know it's them.
I don't know. I mean, I just use writing as an example because I'm a writer. But I think we do these things, and sometimes we have to check ourselves and be like, there is a separation between the relative truth and the absolute truth. And there's a time when we have to know how to deal with the ambiguity, not of like, oh, well, I'm not sure if this is correct or not correct, but the ambiguity of sometimes I am an object, sometimes I'm not a subject, sometimes I'm not in control. And most things I'm not in control, and most things I will never know the absolute truth of. And all I can operate of is what I am able to know here. And then when I know more, like, I'm gonna look back at myself in the past, and I'm gonna say, oh my God, I got all these things wrong that I couldn't have known in the past, right? Like, there's just no way to have the knowledge of the thing you can't know. And so many people cling to these ideologies because it gives you certainty. It gives you the sense that, well, you know what? These things that I don't know, I kind of know. Just don't be gay, right? Just don't, just believe in this God, or just like, the transphobia. It's like, it's so easy to dismantle a transphobic argument, as it is with most bigoted but basically every bigoted argument is easy to dismantle in like 5 seconds. But the logic is not the point. The point is that a person can rely on it, that a person can feel like it's just universally true. It's like when people argue something to you and they're like, how could you argue with what I'm saying? Everybody knows this. They say that because they want to lean on something. They want to have some sort of thing to lean on to say, this is true, this is true, this is true. So nobody should challenge this. Nobody can challenge this. Nobody can challenge this. And somebody challenges it, and their choices are either I engage with what this person's saying and I listen to their logic, and maybe it changes exactly everything about my life and I have to think about 10 different things now, or I say, well, you're just wrong. And
Mhm.
most people go with the second part, you know?
Yeah, like, and I mean, like, people, and I realize that it's hard to find, like, to realize, like, if what we do has any type of real impact. Like, I struggle with that personally. I feel very disenfranchised and alienated from my work, like, very much so. Like, after at a certain point, like, early on, like, I could interact with every comment, and like, I felt like when things were changing or when people were impacted by whatever I'm talking about. At this point, like, it's text on screen. And I try to, like, I normally dedicate at least like the first day to replying to comments a lot. Um After a while, like, once it begins to get out of my bubble and I know it's just gonna be trolls, I just kind of just say, all right, go ahead, have at it. And that's why, like, I got the Discord, because I was just like, I need to feel like I'm doing something. And if I don't see people, if I'm not engaging with people, I feel like I'm just talking to a camera, and I press upload and then that's it. And it just feels extremely uh, like, de not, I don't want to say debilitating, but just it just feels like deafening, like it's crushing.
Debasing, yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, it just makes me feel really small. And I've just been feeling like really small for like a really long time. Um,
But isn't it good to be small?
Sometimes. I don't know. It depends. I mean, like, you were talking about like narratives, right? And I wanted to like re-echo what you were saying like then, because as you said, like, people create storylines for everybody else inside their lives. And I see this like a lot online. I think it's like, even it's hypothesized like online. Like, you find like a lot of the time, like, with creators and the different feuds between different communities, we see a lot of this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are people that hate me online that make videos. I'm sure that they feel in every way that they are right. They're the protagonist in this case, and they had to make me the villain. Like, they needed a villain, and they said, okay, you. Like, and I'm sure that in every way, in every sense, like, they feel as though like they are right, they are justified, they have sycophants that will adduce evidence to say that yes, they will construe everything that you're saying to justify their storylines. And and my part, of course, has to be the opposite, where like I have to be the protagonist and I have to make other people the villain. And once I let go of that and I began to really just find a way, like, going from like an empathy principle and just trying to truly understand exactly what they're dealing with, I really find, yeah, yeah, Arendt is in here. I really find more times than not that I just feel like really sad. I feel like really sad, like, anytime, like, when I see like an antagonistic relationship with anything online, because fuck, man, this it's just an extremely um poignant position to be in, where you have to create that. And not only that, but like when your livelihood and your content rely on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
It's
I
you
don't
have to
know.
subjective, like you have to villainize yourself, right? To somebody. And there's no way to make everybody like you, right? It's a fact of life that when you create stuff, even if you make the most innocuous thing, somebody's gonna be like, sucks, you suck. But even more so, we often really want power because we are so frustrated at the lack.
Institutions.
Yeah, well, yes, of course, like the institutions and just in general, the sense that people are not being dealt what they need to be dealt, right? Like, and things are not the way that they should be. And when you're so frustrated about that, it gives you this feeling, like, for a moment, that you should wants to be large, right? That you should wants to be powerful, because then when you're powerful, you can make this thing change. Like it's like you know people really struggle with, for instance, the whole conversation of abolition and rehabilitative justice and all these things, and like we want on one hand to speak in general, like that people should rehabilitate and should have a chance to change their lives and should not be punished like violently or dehumanizingly, but we also will sometimes see people who do these horrible things, and all we want, like for me, I get violent urges, you know, I get moments where it's like I would love to
Do
bleep
MMA.
bleep 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 bleep, you know,
Redacted.
like redacted with this person because they deserve to, you know, die, right? Like I just, you have that feeling, right?
Hmm.
And this is a sort of a version of all of these feelings you get, and so when you feel so small, it's like this horrifying feeling at first, because in the face of that, it's this recognition that I'm never going to be able to do this. And not only
Hmm.
that, like even if I finally get to the point where I can invoke some sort of power on people, it's not going to make me feel any better, and it's not going to
Yeah.
change anything in particular, because there's going to be another person who does it again, and there's so many
Hmm.
places for so many people to do so many things, right? I'm never going to be able to change the world as an individual. And this is one of the things also that liberalism is really good at, like feeding you, is this idea like you're gonna change the world, right? Just keep doing good things and you're gonna be a beautiful unique snowflake who changes the world. And in actuality, what changes the world is groups of people, right?
Yeah.
Is groups of people working together for a moment to get a thing done.
There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you have to go with someone, or you have to go with people, or something like that.
And that's what we
And yeah,
should, that's what the beauty of you know, communism is the recognition of, I don't want to be in a society where everything is about me. I don't
yeah.
want to be in a society where I should want to be bigger than what I am. I want to be in a society where I should want to be exactly as big as I am, which is to say one small piece, and every other person can recognize themselves as one small piece, and then we can know, okay, as small pieces, here's what we can do, here's what we can control, here's who we can work with to make something better. And I think that there's a very important thing we have to investigate in ourselves with regards to that, right? Also, hello to Swolsome. It's good to see Swolsome in the chat,
Hmm.
the homie.
Man, that's two
Finn's,
whole
yeah.
Bahamians in like me and between me and Finn. People forget this. So that's like three Caribbean people right there. You got Mojo and this is
The entire
ridiculous.
Caribbean is in the chat.
The whole thing, like
This
this
is
is what they're
this is the
talking about.
Caribbean stream, yeah.
This is the militia that they were talking about in the amendments
I
right
think
here.
I think there is something to being from the Caribbean that adds to that for people too. Like, especially when you're from a small country, there's a feeling of wanting to be anything but small.
Yes, 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 yes. There's something about being from, we call it the rock, that and then there's this, and it's nationalism, you know. There's like a lot of nationalism and patriotism involved with it. There's a lot of self-loathing. So like a lot of people from the Bahamas will try to make themselves anything that they're not. So like they would be like, yeah, I'm Bahamian, but I'm also like a quarter Scottish, like
Right.
a pinch Panamanian or some shit like that. Meanwhile, like come on, like
You're
yeah,
me.
I could see
Like,
you're me, like but there's this thing like I find it really interesting. Like anytime like when someone goes away, they take a lot of videos, not even like in the destination or even in the plane, but like in the
right.
airport. They want to take a picture in the airport. They want to do TikToks in the airport. They want to make sure that they get they dress very nicely for the airport when you know that you're gonna have to remove a lot of your clothing and everything like that. And it's because you have to go and perform travel. Like you have to show that, hey, I'm not on this rock with y'all fucks. Like, you know, like I'm going this place. Like it's bye bye. And it's just like this yet again, like this performance of hierarchy, like the luxury of travel. And I see this like a lot nowadays, now that like the world is opening back up and nobody's wearing a mask. That basically this new wave of travel luxury is coming, and it's so painfully disgusting for me. Like to see, like I have of course like the mixed relationship with tourists. I'm sure like you know about that as well.
Yeah.
But like I see so many people coming not to partake in the culture, not even to eat the food, man, but to take pictures of the fucking food,
Pictures.
to take pictures with the pigs, feeding the pigs, to take pictures at the beach, not even go in the water. You're not even going in the salt water. Like you're just taking pictures at the salt water. Like you're going, everybody wants to be on a fucking boat. Like everybody wants to be Captain Goddamn Abraham or the Blackbeard being on a goddamn boat. I don't know who likes boats more, pirates or y'all, because like y'all are always on the damn boat. Everybody wants you to be on the boat. And it's just like this constant performance of, okay, thank you, Don Armando. Thank you. I appreciate it. They came to the Bahamas. There we go. Othelius, fuck Othelius. Othelius, sorry, I'm being derailed. ADHD tangent. Othelius says nobody, not a soul. Foreign. Did you know that Sidney Poitier was Bahamian? I
I did not
can't.
know it.
I hate Othelius.
Othelius always has something smart to say.
Othelius is my villain. In my story, when I write my autobiography, because all autobiography is a lie, I will write about Othelius. I was just like, and
Supervillain
then there was
Othelius
Othelius.
Maximus. Yes.
Oh my God. Like anytime when my downfall is happening, I see Othelius there, like Nero playing the fucking violin.
With something
I
smart to
can't
say.
stand with, oh my Lord, and he's always there. Like he takes no days off
Not
and
at
he
one.
always has it. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bahamas.
yeah, as I was saying, yeah, just performing luxury travel, and I don't know where else we're going, but like this lust of disassociating ourselves with who we are.
Hmm.
Um,
Spectacle.
like yeah, and the spectacle and the performance of it.
Yes.
Just like how
Yes.
Instagram is of course dead too. Like, and it's interesting, like even with YouTube, like like how because I think about this, like everybody has a YouTube account. Everybody has to have a YouTube account in order to be on YouTube. Like all y'all chatting right now, like
Have
y'all got
YouTube's.
a YouTube account, right? But not everybody uploads, right?
Hmm.
But like people on Instagram, like rarely do you have like an Instagram that doesn't have pictures. Like it's
It's just for
everybody is
others.
yeah, like everybody's creating content, but like YouTube for some reason, like there's this interesting thing where some people make and some people just watch.
Yeah.
A lot of the different platforms, like with TikTok, like yeah, like some people are just viewers for the most part. But like, I don't know, like everybody else looks like for the most part on platforms, like it's just a social interaction. And
Hmm.
YouTube was very dependent on not doing that. Like there was profiles, there was channels, even though like some channels have nothing on their channel, and then you have people that actually have shows on their channel.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but there's something there.
There's
Make up
something
your mind on
about
it.
the ideal of self-actualization via posting, right? I think liberalism, capitalism creates like these false needs, right? It creates these ideas of these things that you have to have as part of your journey that are almost
Mm,
impossible sometimes to take out of your own life. But one of those things is oftentimes people are very caught up in self-actualizing, and part of self-actualizing is having a thing out there and being able to say that this is my thing. And you're fed constantly these tips. It's like when people are like, your IG feed is a reflection of you. No, it's not. Your IG feed is not a reflection of you. Neither is your TikTok feed. Stop lying to yourself. It is the algorithm. Now, do you have input in it that can affect that, of course, but you are always at some point objectified,
mhm.
and the objectification is just a part of recognizing yourself as not just you, but as another person. To somebody else, you're another person in their story. To somebody else, you're an extra. You're a second character. You're the 10th guy. To you, you're the first person. And
Mhm.
it's almost as if the goal for a lot of people is to be the number one person, is to be the
Yeah,
person that
and
is the most
everybody.
important
But
in everybody's life. And this always comes with a huge helping of childhood insecurity and stuff like that. But it's
damn.
also fed by social media to say like, this is you. Your Instagram, it's you. And so if your Instagram, people will talk to you, about their Instagram, be like, my Instagram's dusty. My Instagram doesn't look good. I gotta fix it. I gotta take this thing down. I gotta curate my aesthetic better. It's like they have to, because it's like an extension of you, of your expression of yourself. It's this very rare opportunity to feel like you have any kind of agency in your own life, because so
Mm.
much of your other time is caught in labor. See, Arenak, so much of your own time is taken up by working for somebody else on loan, like loaning your time out to somebody else so that they can pay you a salary, and changing yourself and modifying yourself so that you can receive some type of monetary benefit or some type of reward from other people. Like so much of your life is sort of molded in this way and is pushed away from the ideas of actually genuinely interacting with people. And so the social media offers you this kind of easy escape from that, to say, for just a moment, when you're on this page, when you've opened this app, now you get to be you. Now you get to have your own world and your own say. And so, I mean, I've worked wage jobs before. I've worked retail, and you want to be on social media the whole time. You're on the train. People are on social media. You're on, like, people go and they constantly go back on there, even when they don't know why, even if they know that it's toxic, because there's this feeling like, without it, who am I? Right? And
You made an epistemological analysis of
mhm.
of social media. That's like the most bread tube thing ever.
It's the reality,
But
man.
it's facts though. Like it was just
It's the episteme, bro. The episteme is, I mean, that is like, I am a lot of the times just doing basic Marxism, or like at least like good Marxism, right? Where I'm just like, base superstructure. There's capital. Everything comes back to capitalism. You just
facts.
look at it for
It
two
really
seconds,
does.
and it just comes back down to capitalism. You know why? Because capitalism is making all this stuff.
But how do you like do that with normies though? Like is my question because like I normally try to like I normally am able to relate almost everything to cis white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. Like
Hmm.
almost everything in everyday conversation. But I don't like to say those words when I'm in public because then people throw things at me. So like I try not to, and I try to find adjacent words so that I can best like so I could be human, so I could be
Hmm.
with other people, and communicate the ideas that we have, but not sound like I just discovered bell hooks. So like,
Have you
and
thought
I
about
find, and I,
patriarchy? Yeah.
yeah, like when we get into like when I get into like relationship discourse, gender war shit, I'm all just like, okay, but I don't want to say patriarchy. So like I try to find like other things. I'm more like, the rule of men, and like I'm more like, okay,
Right.
maybe that'll work. But then they still get back to the same questions, and like they keep on coming back with the same questions, and I'm all like, but I answered this already. And then I don't want to be that annoying guy that like drops their video. Like I'm all like, okay, like here's my channel, watch this video. But for some reason, I'm just like, you know what? At the end of the day, I found someone in the wild, like in real life, that watches my videos, and they had a problem with the fact that like I was so vocal about like trans rights.
Hmm.
Um, and like I was just like, fam, like, have you even met a trans person before? Like, why are you this vitriolic right now?
Right.
And I was just like, and they literally parroted like I think Tucker Carlson shit. So I'm just like, fam, like you're parroting a man that's not even on Fox News anymore. So like that means that like you're not even getting like the freshest bigotry. Like you're not even getting like the
You're not
newest
even
drop
getting
of bigotry.
mainline bigotry. You're getting like
Like the reruns, like
rerun bigotry. You're getting like
hand me
old.
downs.
It's nasty. It's got some lint on it. Yeah.
It's like worn out, like the souls are falling apart. I'm like, fam, where'd you get this shit? Where'd you find this? Like I'm just like, how?
It's like
How did
it's like
you
the Jordan logo is backwards. The booty's all out. It's like, where did you find these?
yes.
It's not the jump
And then
man. It's
like
the hump man. Like, what's there? Where is this?
I'm fucking dying. That's
Why does
so
it say
New York.
24 on it? Yeah, that's how it is.
Fam, didn't someone just get like stabbed, like an activist just get stabbed in New York though?
Probably. I don't know
And
what you're referring to though, but probably. I mean, that happens a
no,
lot.
no, it was just like
Police
because
state.
I peruse, yeah, facts. I mean, like I peruse like the New York State subreddit, like New York State Mind subreddit a lot. Like, I was born there, so like sometimes I feel like nostalgic about New York. But like this guy is on, like he was an activist, it was a white guy, and like the black guy, it was. It was one of those guys that you see in the train that you're not like you normally don't talk to, but like apparently the white guy talked to him because like he was with his girl and like he like legit got stabbed to death. sorry, trigger warning. He legit got stabbed that like in the streets of New York. And for no reason, like for no reason, man just like lunged out to him, dipped him up, and then walked off. He got arrested today. So police state. Um,
Yay.
but yeah, but I was just like, okay, what if we were to figure out why man is mad like this? Why man did all of this?
Yeah.
Like and actually address that rather than just like throwing people in jail haphazardly. But hey,
Yeah. He was a lone wolf,
it,
you know.
lone wolf, yeah, he acted alone. Yeah, is he? I think is he probably knows about this. He probably got some New Yorkers in there. But yeah, I don't know how we got on there, but you know,
Yeah, I think we were talking about the episteme, and we were talking about
I saw
um,
something about the Epstein.
yeah, we talk about like there's this constant struggle of like how to talk to people about these things in real life,
Mm.
and yeah, I mean, even like when we bring up like the trans folks like that we know and like how they've had this impact on our lives, like or like it does really suck that one of the maybe the best way that a person stops being bigoted about a group of people is by just meeting them.
Yeah.
I really wish that there were better options, because I wish it wasn't this feeling that we had to put people on the front lines to go meet people and win hearts and minds. But it's not even so much about like, well, I know a trans person. It's this feeling that you get when you are confronted with somebody who is engaging with you as a human being, and you recognize yourself in that person. And when you do that, that's the click, that's the switch. And that can only come, and I think a book that I think about when it comes to these kinds of things is usually Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which I talk about a lot, because a lot of what he is, I mean, he's talking about education, but he's also talking about education outside of the classroom and these contexts of dialogue. And the only way to really dialogue with somebody is to be human with them, and is to treat them as another human being, which is to say to treat them as the same as yourself, right? And it's not even just like the golden rule, treat yourself the way you want to be treated. It's like, sometimes spiritual doctrines have like the best way of wording these things, but there is something genuinely real about recognizing that, like, and James Baldwin has a clip talking about this, like this, the person you see on the street is you, right? Like the homeless person is you, the trans person is you, the gay person, the black person, whatever, like
All at the same time, actually.
and the animals and the plants. Like, you look into a person's eyes for long enough and you get freaked out, because you're like, oh my god, like you're me, like we are all the part of the same thing. And I wish sometimes people weren't so like hesitant about stuff that sounds vaguely spiritual, but I get it. But I think that this is something that is really even fundamental to a lot of what leftist philosophy is talking about, like a lot of what Marx is talking about. Because, for instance, when Marx talks about the capitalist, he's not saying this guy John here, the capitalist, this is what he does, right? He's saying, the capitalist is a position, it's a role that you play. It's like a position on the soccer field. It's like this person occupies this position, and this is what he does in that position, or she does, or they do, right? And this is how life is. These ideas of people are ideas, they're abstractions. When you meet people in the wild, you realize that there is something there, this kind of ambiguity, this kind of unknowability, and this subjectivity, right? It's not just an object. It's not just this thing you can talk about as an abstract idea, or as something you read in the paper, or as somebody you saw talked about on Twitter. You have to viscerally engage with the fact that this person is a subject, meaning this person is an I, this person is me. And this whole world, this whole experience that they live in, the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, I'm hearing myself. It's scary, and it breaks people. But I think that is a big part of it, because I think one of the things we have to learn how to activate is that. We have to learn how to, when we encounter somebody in the wild, as leftists or otherwise, but should be as leftists, because you should all be leftists. We have to learn the capacity to engage with the person as if they are yourself. And so that means, like, a lot of the time it's not even about telling somebody, like explaining these things to people. It's about listening to them, right? It's about asking them questions. It's about being like, so where do you get this feeling that these folks are taking the world over or whatever? And like,
Mm.
first of all, some people are not safe to do this, right? Some people have to be much more concerned about whether or not they're physically safe, and I get it. So especially for folks like us, you know, big,
Yeah.
strong, tall, amazing men, very
That that
handsome.
that could get into access to rooms and not be clocked as dirty leftists.
Yeah, we don't get the preconceived judgments as easily to get objectified and then put in aside. Like we have
Hmm.
sometimes an easier time, but sometimes it's also about something having a relation, like being relating to a person in some way. Like this person's the same nationality as you, they look like you in some way, they go to the same school, whatever. But like having that in with the person and then being able to have a conversation with them where you're asking them questions about where all these feelings and thoughts come from. And there's many things that can happen from there, but a lot of what happens is that you figure out what you have to say in that moment. Like you realize it once you ask enough questions, like, oh, like you just are insecure about your masculinity, or like you just are like alone, like you're lonely, and you've never had that feeling like there's somebody there that cares about you. Like you're constantly feeling like you have to shut that out. And if I am here with you, for instance, and let you know that I'm there for you and show you that I care for you in some way, it's going to change everything for you, because that's going to give you the strength to let go of so many of these dumb ideas, right? And so this is like an example.
Huh.
It's not necessarily that like we should all go up hugging Nazis. This is not my advocation. But it's about the subjectivity of other people. It's about recognizing that everybody is, you know, stuck as this main character in their own story, and that's not a good thing. And they will be liberated when they are able to finally recognize themselves as just parts of a whole that you are also a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that. So a couple of things that came up to me like when you were saying that is especially how I sometimes find it difficult, and I think a lot of other people do. Like my mom would watch my videos, and I'm just like, okay, so are you making the connections in your everyday life in my videos? And there's like a grand disconnect, like a profound disconnect a lot of the times. And I think like a lot of people, like it happens to like a lot of folks. Like I can watch I can watch a bunch of videos that are calling out specific parts of my life and not make that connection. Like I still will see and interact with this as a video, even like the books, like sometimes really do I immediately see like the connection. I'm like, oh shit, they're talking to me, like not even about me, like to me, they are talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like I find myself when talking to other people, when I'm overly analytical and trying to like look at all of the different things in order to be like a good conversationalist, I sometimes Bojo said I banned my mom from my channel. I wish I could, but my mom has alt accounts and shit. So like I I often find that I I find it out later. Like when I spoke to that person, I'm more like, oh wow, I did not show up how I needed to show up. Maybe if I did, I would have been able to circumvent or forestall or forbear whatever they're going through right now. Like I normally find out after, like in reflection. Really in the moment, like when I'm in a conversation, especially with like with someone that's espousing bigotry, normally like it's an antagonistic thing. It's a negotiation. And in many ways it's a debate. And I hate debating. I
Yeah.
mean, like a lot of my degree is dedicated to it, but I hate it because I don't think that anybody is going to really be better off about this. I'm like someone's just gonna win and someone's gonna lose. I don't think that anybody's gonna change their mind. A lot of times. So like a lot of this happens in the barbershop. I'm getting my hair cut, and like it's normally like me and this old head like that watches my videos in the barbershop. When my barber sees me coming, like he normally puts my video on. I'm just like, why can you please stop doing this? I just want to get a haircut. And like other people are like, I don't know, like, do you watch yourself? Like I hate watching myself like in the company, especially of other people. I want to die. I'd rather blush and die. Like I just like, where's the cyanide? And I'm more like the guy, like the old head, like this old head always comes the same time I come to the he's like, oh, he said, here you are yet again talking about, I don't know why I'm giving him a southern accent,
It works. It works.
but it works. Why are you talking about these goddamn? I'm more like, this is not what the Lord wanted. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, why you just don't watch the video, sir? My good sir, why don't you just watch the
Yeah.
video? And then like he'd just be like, I can't, I came here for a haircut and you need to turn this shit off. Looks like I don't know why this is a whole Bahamian man, but for some reason I'm giving him a southern accent.
He's found it. He found a
Um,
way to have a southern accent. It's aspirational, in fact.
bigots have southern accents.
Oh.
Oh, it's like oh, I mean Kodak block. But yeah, like I mean, and I always know what I needed to say to this guy after, like afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time, like when I'm talking to him, like it's normally something a lot more crass. Normally, like I assume the very weapons that he's using against me to him. Like I talk about him being like
Mm-hmm.
having a receding hairline. I shouldn't. I talked about him being divorced 3 times. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. But like he's going low. And
Your
like,
instinct is to go back low, to defend
yeah,
yourself.
precisely. And I'm all like, you know what? I'm all like foreign, big body foreign for some reason. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said. And I find out later. And then I come back the next time when I see him, I'm like, hey, everything all right? Like I give him the handshake and the hug, and I'm all like, hey, like sorry about that. And then like, and you just move forward. But like this is ongoing relationship of denigration. He says something bigoted. I talk poorly about his appearance. And then I apologize for it the next time. And then I give him what I should have given him in the moment. So what I'm trying to say here is it takes like a lot of foresight and just prudence and adaptitude of speech and being able to analyze a lot of the different things that are going on at the same time
Yeah.
to show up how you should show up in order to engender a better reality for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And I feel like 50% of the time I can do it. Like when it's like very cut and dry, like when someone says something like blatantly like textbook homophobic, like I'm all like, okay, well, did you know that like Jesus was probably asexual? Like, did you know that like God is probably trans? Like more like you
Just drop those
realize that
bombs. Yeah.
I fuck them up a little bit, right? And like they get it. But then like the next 50%, like when they really get underneath your skin, I'm human. I'm
Yeah.
going low. I'm going
It's
low.
important not to hold yourself to impossible standards. Like sometimes you're gonna just go low, and like I think this is something that relates to the conversation of like a philosophy of violence, right? Where we talk about like when is it okay to be violent? Like when is it okay to fight somebody?
Isn't it like an economy of violence that's okay? Like when it's the least amount of violence that's reasonable for the
That's one part
situation.
of it for sure, but also the aspect of when do you go there, right? Like there's
Mm,
first of like the sort of point of view that violence should never be the answer, and da da da, and the I understand the aspiration to nonviolence. I don't understand the sort of rigidity necessarily of, for instance, looking at, let's say, oppressed people's having like acting violently against their oppressors. Like this is self-defense in a sense, right? But
Haitian
it's
Revolution.
Haitian Revolution. But at the same time, um, there is a philosophical thing that is very valuable there of understanding like when was it, like what is the objective, and the objective is safety. I feel like the objective with violence is
Mm,
safety of your own,
self-defense.
like it's keeping yourself safe. Yeah, self-defense,
Mm.
which a lot of the time you don't need to fight. That's just one of the
Yeah,
biggest things, especially like if you're not
absolutely.
alone in a crowded area. I mean, if you're alone in a crowded area, do not fight, run. Generally run. But like
Yeah.
especially if you're also like not big and strong and not super skilled and like how to like there is 99% of the time no reason to be violent, right? And
Yeah.
I also mean that in a sense. I think it translates because I think there is a way we can be violent in other ways, like not aside from the physical. I think we can be verbally violent with each other, right? I think ultimately, you know, roasting is one thing, but insulting people's physical appearances, right? Like that's kind of verbal violence, right? You're inflicting harm on a person, right? Or you're insulting their character and these kinds of things. This can be understood as a type of verbal violence, and I think there's something very important in recognizing, like, I didn't really have to do that, but why did I do that? And of course, if we recognize that the objective of violence is to feel one's own safety, in this instance, like, a lot of the times it's because we feel unsafe. Like, if I start wiling out on people, it's because I feel like people are coming at me and I got to do something. If I start calling people out, it's because, like, I feel unsafe. And you have to break down sometimes in yourself, like, what is it that made me feel unsafe? Because maybe I wasn't, right? And for instance, in this barbershop scenario, you seem to feel like you weren't unsafe. You seem to feel like you were in a safe situation where,
you are my therapist right now. Like,
I don't understand. Like,
this is so nice though. Like, it's just like, so it sounded like you felt.
It sounds like you felt instigated. It sounds like you felt like you felt unsafe. Where does that come from? What happened when you were 12?
It's like, when you cried when I got beaten in the barbershop because I wouldn't sit still? That's the reason why I have an issue. And no, for probably, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, because, like, when you're a baby and, like, they gotta strap you down in a chair when you're getting your haircut, and then, like, I don't know about y'all, but yeah, they definitely did use some force.
I never had that. I never dealt with that.
I'm so sorry.
That's actually that's horrible.
That's traumatic. I know that's so
really bad, but that says a lot.
It's an unlocked memory. Yeah, thank you.
But doesn't that now, and that's an insight, isn't it? Because it seems as if, and if this is a thing that happens to other people too, like, this
live therapy with Elliot, for real though.
I feel like that is giving me an understanding that perhaps the barbershop is like a place of violence.
Trigger. Yeah, it's a trigger for me.
Well, it's not even just about for you, right? Like, is this, like, not saying something about culturally what the barbershop represents is, like, a type of violent place?
I've been saying this for a while. Like, the barbershop is home to some horrendous takes.
Yeah.
Like, nothing good has ever came out of a barbershop except for straight lines for the most part. But other than that, like, the barbershop is like a matrix for a lot of, especially, like, for Black folks, like, a lot of thought, like a lot of mode setting and paradigm setting, like the way that you see the world, especially, like, for young Black men in mask, like, they are interacting and, like, kind of trialing, testing their material, almost like a comedy club. In the barbershop for the first time. Another place would probably be, like, the playground, but, like, the barbershop is a different situation, because I think, like, it's devoid of any other perspective outside of just, like there's something about barbershops that exacerbate the toxic sides of masculinity the most. I've been saying that it needs to be a video for the longest, and I don't see this happening, like, in because I've been to white barbershops before, like, when I was in, for some strange reason, I had to go to Great Clips. I've done a story on this. It was an awful experience. I know. I'd laugh at myself too. I didn't know any better. And, like,
it's okay.
Honestly, it didn't have that there. Granted, it was a woman that cut my hair, but I've never seen the same type of atmosphere when I've walked into white barbershops that I have when I've gone into a Black barbershop, and you got BT on the TV, you got some ass shaking on the TV, right? And you got, like, these old heads going back and forth talking about, like, the most, like, very basic level, like, oh yeah, man, she was babysitting my kids, if you know what I mean. Like literally, like, it's that. And then you got the guys, like, on the side, like waiting for their haircut. And, like, there's kind of like a power struggle there, because, like, some people would want to skip aside, so, like, they want to walk in front of you, and then, like, you got to stand up for yourself and be like, hey, no, I'm next in line. And, like, you got to put, like, a lot of basic people, I'm next in line. There's so much going on.
It's a masculine battlefield.
Oh my God. And when you put race into the aspect, it's just ridiculous.
Well, let's tie that together, right? If you're a kid, you're a little boy, and therapy and leftist analysis are like this, if you do it right. If you're a baby boy and you are being physically restrained and corporal punished in order to sit still in a barber shop, You are being told that you are not worthy and that you are emasculated, and that your job is to sit back and let the strong people, control the situation. And you're
Sever
told
your
that,
hair from your body.
yes, to sever your hair from your body violently, using violent force. And your goal as a young man is then to also become like those men. And you're to come back to that barbershop every time you need a haircut and confront that violence, that inherent violence, right? The whole thing is set up as a battlefield, right? It's set up as a place of violence wherein each person is immediately on attack mode because they walk in and they don't feel safe because they feel like everybody else is out to get them. Everybody else is a predator, alpha male person who's the person who's gonna dominate you and attack you and put you down, right? Like this is what is cultivated there, and so you must go in and you must be stronger than them. Right. And so the barbershop experience becomes a matter of you are to come in and win. You are to come in and like Gladiator, beat everybody and be the alpha male, be the victor, be the most strong, and so. All of these points of view come out of that, right? Because what do they all come back to? I am more masculine than you. I get girls that have sex with me. I have this opinion about women. They're bad. I think that gay men are also bad, right? Like it's just like I'm just gonna go after people. Like I'm saying violent things so that I can establish to other people I'm not to be fucked with. I'm an alpha. Like, and everybody's now competing. And then when you do that, this other guy has had the same experience, and he's like, well, I'm not going to let him be the alpha. Now I feel unsafe. I'm going to say something back to him. Damn. So it's all violence, right? It's just verbal. And it's verbal with sometimes a very visual and actual connection to the physical.
Yeah.
And this is masculinity in a nutshell. Because these guys, they have these opinions.
Barbershop is an allegory for masculinity.
It's an allegory. It's a training ground. It is a fundamental
Grooming.
It is a fundamental if you want to know what masculinity is, right? And it's not like that with every barbershop. It's true. Like for instance, an Asian barbershop. I get my hair cut at an Asian barbershop. We don't talk. It's very nice.
I knew it. Like I just felt like
they just play loud dance music and cut your hair nice. It's a salon. I go to salons, right? But it's a specific thing. I've been in non-black like barber. I've been in a barbershop that was run by like Russian immigrants that are very like right wing. Anytime it's like a right wing tinged male barbershop, right? That is the aspect that you're going for. You have dudes that come in, they're not even getting their hair cut. This guy just comes in to let you know that he's getting money. I don't know why you're here. I don't know I'm trying to get a hair. Like, I was like, I must be in the wrong place because I came in to get a haircut. I did not know we were battle rapping.
Dude, you're so right though.
There's every hour. There's a dude that when the barber shop opens, he's saying hello. He's coming in. Eating. He's like, so
I'm talking about what he did.
The small business that I got that I'm owning, and I'm making money, and also, these women out here. Am I right? It's like every time, and it's like, what is so. And you can't confuse that for like real expression. Honestly, like I think this is one of the biggest things. Like I don't think that men actually think like this. I think men don't I think these men teach themselves not to think. They teach themselves to perform in these aspects. So they shut down the thought.
Thinking hurts. Yeah, no, because then you have to engage.
Because then you think, and now you're weak, and now you're unsafe. And what are you gonna do if you're unsafe? Would you rather be unsafe or smart?
Yeah.
I'm dead ass because that's why like so many dudes are transphobic because they're scared that anything.
Think about it for too long.
They don't want to be the dude in the barbershop that's not as like they don't want to be attacked by other men. That's it.
They don't want to have done to them what they do to others. Yeah.
But they do it to others because they don't want it to be done to them. Because it happens to you when you're this young. Like you're literally out of the womb and dudes are coming up to you. You don't get money, motherfucker. What is up? I'm 5 seconds old. Like I just came out of the womb and you're talking about I don't get girls. Like what's going on here? Of course I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, but like it's wild because like when you're in like this is real. Like this happens. You go to school for the
It's so
first time
real
as a
though.
boy, and it's like
See,
all
you
of a
don't get
sudden dudes are
no,
talking
you don't get
about
no
girls. And
hoes, you don't get no money.
you don't get no money. You don't get no girls. You do nothing. And it's like I am 2, sir. I am literally 2 years old. And it's just like you're unsafe. You're being attacked. You know, especially if we understand like words as violence, right? Like you are literally being put in a position from the first moment of your life as a boy of like you gotta survive because everybody's gonna come kill you. Everybody's gonna come beat the shit out of you. And the only reason that people aren't beating the shit out of you is because big, tough, hot dudes are protecting you. So you're either gonna be one of the big, tough, hot dudes, or you're gonna be one of these little babies forever. Do you want to be a little baby? Like that's your whole proposition. So of course these dudes don't think. Like they don't have opinions. This is not an opinion that they're expressing. They're protecting themselves. That's it.
Damn, for real though. Yeah, they don't believe this shit.
That's why that's when we talk about like your newest video, excellent video about incels, right? And we talk about Andrew Tate and all these folks. Like these dudes don't know what it's like to have an opinion. They're just scared. They don't want to die. They don't want to get beat up. That's it. So you see a dude who's a freaking champion kickboxer who doesn't wear a shirt and smokes cigars and talks the most shit or whatever, and it's like perfect. Now I have something in front of me.
Perfect.
Like this is good. Like I will be safe around this man.
Yes.
Yeah, he won't be correct about anything, but that doesn't matter because I'm not gonna die. Like I'm not gonna get beat up. You know, it's like it's like you ally with a bully, right? It's like the bully is beating you up. You gotta be his friend. It's jail.
It's a carceral system. Like seriously, like you align yourself with the gang to protect yourself because you're afraid of what you believe to be jail sexual assault. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm so serious about this, by the way. Like this is not.
No, for real. I agree with you. I think you're right. You're dead right.
This is a scary thing. It's and that's why when you argue with people about it logically, it doesn't resonate, right? It's like what do I say to this guy? I keep telling. It's so obvious that he's being transphobic. It doesn't help him. It doesn't do anything good because it's for him. He's scared. Yeah. He's scared, and he's scared that he's gonna get beat up by another dude. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or like have like a social death. Like have like, and I think like that's like what because like I perform this fair in barbershop. So just in regular day conversation when I get verbally violent. And I'm not afraid of anybody fighting me. I don't get into fights. I've never been in a fight in my life.
Never.
Never.
I've been assaulted before a little bit.
Damn, I'm sorry.
I mean, it was one of those weird basketball court things where I got punched in the face once.
God damn.
It was like a kid. It was a kid too. Like it was very emasculating. It wasn't like a little kid, but he was like a year or two younger than me, and he had like all his friends behind. That it wasn't like a 6-year-old. It wasn't like a little 9-year-old kid just punched me in the face. I wouldn't put it past me. Like I would have probably had that happen.
When that happens, like I don't do anything. Like I mean,
well, that
doesn't count.
No, it was a kid who was like around my age but younger than me, and he had like a bunch of his friends there, and he was just talking shit to me. You know, like
he was fighting for masculine
homophobia. I don't understand it.
Hegemony.
He was calling me gay slurs and stuff because I was playing basketball. I'm like, yo, I just came to play basketball. You know, like I really just wanted to work on my jump shot, and now I'm over here like, so I'm barking back to him. I'm like, he's like, I wanted to shoot. That's it, you know? And now he's like, so I'm like, well, I got to bark back at this guy. And then he comes up to me and he punches me in the face and does the hands behind the back walk away thing. And I'm like, I go to the first day of senior year of high school. I got a bruise on my face. I got a fucking.
God damn.
I'm first like, day? Damn, New York. I'm back. You know? Damn, New York. I'm back. Like, that was it. And I had to, I was so angry.
Oh shit! I'd be mad too. Like this is my first day. I got a shine out all because I was on the basketball court at the wrong time.
And you go through that thing of like, I should have done this. I should have done that. I shouldn't have engaged, or I should have engaged in this way. I had this guy was over here that I know. I could have called him. He would have backed me up, and then we would have like. I'm going through all this stuff in my head, and really, I just was not like I didn't know I was in danger. I just wanted to play basketball, and like that's masculine.
That's
like,
masculinity for real though. Like,
but and it's also like that for women. It's a different tinge because women are also always in danger, but men are always called to be like be the most dangerous person.
Yeah,
right?
well, we're groomed to be psychopaths, like sociopaths, really. Like we're severed our emotions. We're taught to cut off parts of ourselves, literally,
Yeah.
very early on,
Yep.
and just manufactured to be as like war killing sex machines. Is it like
Yeah.
like for like legit? But like the social death in particular, I think is what I mostly fear because I was always an unpopular chubby kid growing up.
Right.
So I think like I have like a lot more experience with social death than anything, like to feel emasculated or to feel ostracized
Mm-hmm.
and marginalized amongst my peers. So nowadays I think I hyperperform that, and like I feel like I need to do and never be done to. Like I need to
Mm.
indeed, like in the bath, like in the barbershop, like if I feel any remnants, any trigger points of it, like I'm all like, okay, like I'm going to oh man, I'm gonna cook you. Like I mean, like it ain't no way out of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I have to win.
And and I think like it definitely in those cases it definitely should not happen. But like I be feeling also like that I have like this other burden of being the YouTuber. So like the
Mm.
person that thinks.
Yeah.
So
Thinky
like
guy.
yeah, like yeah, you're supposed to be the guy, you're supposed to be the big YouTuber. So like you have people in here that like will literally get into arguments with me on progressive anything. And like it feels like there's more stakes because it feels like this is my arena. Like it feels like this is what I'm supposed to be, good at. So like I have to really come at you. And
Mm.
if you say, oh man, you built like they hit me because like man got legs, and they tell me that I'm built like a gal. And I ain't gonna lie, like that shit hits every
Right.
fucking time. That does numbers. It don't matter where I am. Like if you say that you got more ass, like if a dude says to me, like, say, bro,
You
you
have
got
a
more ass than
larger.
my girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they say that, like the whole room is laughing. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, bro, and like trust, and like I mean, like I'm
Yeah.
more like, yeah. But nowadays, I lean into that, and I was like, you're right, you're right. But why
Right.
are you looking at my ass?
Yeah. That's
Like,
the easiest.
like
That's the
self-proclaimed
first one that
cishet
comes up.
man.
It's like,
But then I'm doing a homophobia. So I mean,
then
like,
you're doing a homophobia because it's like, why are you looking at my ass? Are you gay? Yeah. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
sure. So what if I was? Imagine they subvert you too. Imagine they go like, you know what? So what if I was gay? You have a problem with that? And then they double up on you. Now you're double fucked.
And
You got
for
hit from
real,
both sides of the.
like from the conservative
Well,
bigoted side
what it
and the
usually
progressive
is
side
like
too.
there's a girl watching and she goes like, and it's like, man, now I let the person down that I wasn't letting down. Like I was supposed to look out for you. I was supposed
And now
to.
I just did a
Now I did
homophobia
a
on
whole other
you.
thing because this guy roasted me, and now I felt like I had to go into this bag, but this bag is really just not for me because it's bad, right? And it's yeah, it's fear, right?
It's
Like,
fair,
but
yeah.
social like that social death is it that I don't think it's that different from feeling like a fear of a physical death either. I think it's like very intertwined because
I'm more scared of a social death than a physical death.
mm,
I'm
that's a
far
very
more.
manly thing to say. I just want you to know. It's a very like
It
masculine
is,
like
isn't it?
I'm more
But
afraid
but
of the
it's
way that people. I don't care if I
I'm not
die.
afraid to die.
I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
afraid to
but no, if
die. I
because
just
if I'm dead, I'm dead. I mean, like but like if I gotta
if I'm
like
dead,
live
I'm
a
dead.
social death, if I gotta die a social death,
Right.
then that means that I have to live with my social ostracization. I have to live with my marginalized status.
Do you
And I feel
never?
like that's a purgatory.
Do you never think though about like what will I do if that happens?
I know what I'll do because it's happened to me before, and I hated it. I was like ruthlessly bullied, and I feel like it's gonna be like me being that little kid again, probably. But I feel like the risks are a lot larger because I am now larger. So like, it's okay for like me to be a little ashy kid that's just,
Getting
all right,
bullied. Yeah.
you got bullied, yeah. But like when you're an adult and like you have other adults, your peers, like laughing at you or saying,
Mm,
this and that, degradation. Um, but it's very high school, right? I should have the
yeah.
faculties to dismantle that. I should understand that, okay, this is just high school, office politics kind of. But for some reason, I think that the trauma from the childhood of being bullied exacerbates it and overrides the 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 faculties that you have to dismantle that. Okay, this is just adults messing with me. Um,
Yo,
But more
catch,
so,
don't
I
say
just
shit like that, bro. Stay alive.
oh
You're cool.
oh
You're
Lord,
good, bro.
yeah, you good, man.
You go. We all go through the
Um,
isolated times. I understand, but don't worry about that stuff, man. But
for
like
real,
for
like
real,
we
like I guess because then the follow up is like, why do you have such a hard time letting go of this?
I I probably got into YouTube because of that. Like I probably got into YouTube literally because that was my only avenue of coolness.
But does that
I
have
mean,
to
I
be the
was
case forever?
mm,
Like you can start something for one reason, and
it turned into something else. That's not the reason why I do it now.
yeah,
Because I mean, being a YouTuber isn't cool in real life.
I don't
Like,
know.
and
It is
it
kind of
really,
cool.
nah, man. Like nobody that I talk to on a regular basis, like when I tell them I'm a YouTuber, and they're like, okay, so what do you mean you're unemployed? I'm like, no, like this is like they're just
I
like,
get
so
more
what do you
money than
do?
you. What are you talking about?
They say you don't have no clout, you ain't got no subscribers, you ain't got shit. But like, nah, like it really is just is really like when you talk to people, unless like you're Logan Paul or some shit, like I make video essays on progressive politics. They didn't really care. They didn't really watch it that. And not only
You're
that, but like a lot of people in the Caribbean just on Facebook. They ain't even
right.
on YouTube, so they don't even know I exist. Um, but yeah, like new gen does think I'm cool. Dennis, big up. That's for
Right.
birds.
The young people
Like
will be like, "Yo, you're
the
cool."
kids love me. But then I'm that weird guy that is lauded by kids. So like I got kids coming up to me and be like, "Hey, you're foreign." I'm just like, I can't talk to you. You're literally a child.
You can though,
Um,
but you can talk to them. You just don't. You have to be careful, obviously. But like, to not.
when a bunch of kids running up to you though,
Why are they running
oh
up
no,
to you?
man. That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Oh, kids do
They
that. Kids love to run
kids
up
do
to
that
people. Be
shit.
like,
They run up on
"Yay!"
you. Yeah, yeah, you the guy on the. I'm like, yeah, yeah. What's up, bro? And then they asking for hugs. They're doing all that. I'm like, bro, I can't. Big old black man with a beard.
You gotta do
Like
fist
they.
bumps, right? Like you have to have a routine, right? It's a celebrity thing. If you want to figure out a posture, you have to perform the celebrity thing in that situation. You have to be like, hey, yeah, just stay in school, right? Like just do that whole thing.
Is that what you go for? Like normally, like I have, and then that means I have to be in character too, and then I have to be this perpetual person in character. Like I'd be going out to get chicken in a bag. Like I'm just going to like the greasy chicken shop to get chicken in the bag. All I want is a bird. And like I got this person that's saying, "Hey, I really like what you're doing out here." And then like I gotta perform foreign, and like like they be like, "Bro, you so
Mm,
fun, you so funny." Like da, 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 da. And I gotta be funny, but I'm not. I don't want to be funny right there. I'm hungry.
right. I want to eat.
Um,
Yeah,
I want to eat something. Like
I
I don't
get
want to
it.
talk to you right now. But like then I'm an asshole. And
Yeah,
then I'm not.
I mean, I think it's hard, but I think it's very rewarding when you're able to give people something like that. Like you're able to just like spend that time with them and like reassure them and show them that you're thankful for them and stuff like
I
that.
do.
Like that's the most important thing. Like you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to like do the exact thing that they want you to do. You can be like, I need to get my food, but thank you so much type thing. But you also like it's not like the worst thing isn't always going to happen, and usually the worst thing doesn't happen, right? And like also a lot of the times we think the worst thing has happened and then it's fine.
That's true.
Like those are the three things that I've been really needing like to remember, because I go through that same thing too, where it's like, what's gonna happen if this happens to me, or what am I gonna do with these folks in public? Did I do this thing right? Did I handle myself right? Was I properly, a human with them or whatever? And it's like, just be there, just be present, and
Yeah.
like that's enough.
I don't know. How do you feel about your channel? You just hit 100K. I know that's not a tangent. That's not like a hard transition, but like,
You're
because I'm
asking, I
burnt
know.
out. Like, yeah, like I mean, I'm burnt out, and I'm not. I'm like perpetually feeling like I do not belong. Like people are telling me that like I'm great, and I'm all like, nah. I'm like I have like just grandiose levels of self-loathing on a regular basis, and
You've
it's
always been
just
like
like
that, yeah.
I didn't realize that
That's,
everybody could see it.
I mean,
I
you
mean,
always
maybe
talk
because
about it.
we've talked about it before, but like, I mean, I didn't know it was just like that much on display. But yeah, just like loads of self-deprecation, feeling like shit. Um, always just not feeling good enough. I know
Yeah.
that came from my parents and just coming in a black excellence household. Um,
Right.
I understand that part. But like even like with YouTube, like how do you feel about your videos?
Well, I think on one hand, I do feel that insecurity too. Like I oftentimes, especially when the videos are a little older, I look back and I'm like, why did I say it like that? And why do I look like that? And whatever. I also just one of the things that I'm learning to do right now, is that's helping me with not getting burned out all the time, is saying to myself, okay, I'm going to have more fun with this. I'm going to have more fun with this video. If I
Mm,
get burned out with a certain style of video, I'm like, you know what? Switch up. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try a style of like this person. Let's try, I have all these ideas in the back of my head, like, oh, maybe one day I'll do one where I don't show my face on camera, or maybe one day I'll do a musical one, or maybe one day I'll do this and that. I think when you look at my videos, a lot of them are pretty different from each other. Like there's ones that'll pop up that's like the ones where I'm interviewing a bunch of people, and there's not much
mm.
like script. Um, those are the ones where I'm just like, deny, take over, Jesus, take the wheel. But like,
Shout out Deny too,
just
yeah.
deny the goat. Another thing, definitely the collaboration helps as well. So sometimes
Mm.
maybe you need somebody to collaborate with the videos as well, because it opens up a whole another world of like perspective on what you're doing. And also it lets you see the value of what the other person's contributing, which lets you see the value in the thing that you come away with, like the work. um that's helped me a lot. When I do stuff by myself, if I were to just do this all by myself, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have just done something else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
With Deny, that now I'm able to do this. um but that being said, um revolution, is something that has to happen inside you too. you know like you can't just talk about like everything needs to change in the outside world. You also have to change your whole inside world, and that includes sometimes like I have this tendency to look at myself and say like this isn't good enough, or should be this and this should be that. And in those moments I have to completely subvert my voice, my inner voice. you know
Mm.
Not even to say that it's completely illegitimate, because sometimes that self-criticism is helpful, but sometimes I have to tell myself, this thing that I see that I think is bad, to somebody else, that's the reason they like my videos.
Precisely. For real.
Like a lot of times people, this takes place in the form of like quality things, like where people think, oh, my camera is bad or whatever. A lot of people like sometimes like the feeling that there's more of a homemade feel in the
Authentic,
video,
yeah.
right? These are the
Mm.
kinds of things, like, or the way that I talk, or the way that I talk is so bad, but like somebody really loves the way that I talk in my videos.
I go
And
to sleep to your videos. Like you make my bed, my pillow like a lot. Like you, Andrew. I
Andrew
kind of have,
is
yeah, like
soothing.
yeah, and like that's a good thing because like honestly, like I internalize it like right before I go to sleep. Like that level of internalization is like really fertile for me. So like
Mm-hmm.
I be like thinking about whatever I watched first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do have a tendency with the videos to sound a bit like calming, I guess.
Noah
Um,
Samson too, yeah.
yes, and Noah's a very calming person, and for me, it's like I wish I could talk more like Foreign, or I wish I
I
could talk
can't
more
be
like
calm.
FD. Like I wish I could just be more like I'm talking. Like this is not me reading a script. This is not me kind of having a tone. This is me like I'm giving a spiel. Like I wanted to do more like that, and maybe I will.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I can also look at that part of myself and be like, that's good too. And you set up a dynamic of not, I need to get away from the bad stuff and get to the good stuff, but more I have different sides of myself, and each of those sides
Mm.
needs their space to play. And so sometimes I need to get into the musical bag or whatever, or I need to like change up the way that I do things, but it's not because the way that I was doing them before is so horrible, or the way that I was doing them before is just inadequate. It's just because it's time for me to show the other side. And that
That's actually really
means,
helpful. Yeah.
yeah, because like there's these aspects of you that you think, wow, why did I do that? Why did I do that? But like everything has this good and this bad, right? Like everything has this duality. and you can always transform a bad thing into a good thing. And it can happen. It's never a thing that has to happen like over us. Like, I get that people say that everything's a process and stuff like that, but a lot of it, you need to look at it like it's happening immediately. Like, no, I'm actually sexy, like that kind of thing. Like, you just say these.
Yeah, you need to internalize that. Yeah,
You need to just it's just, it is like, it's not, people say manifesting, but it's not even just manifesting. It's like you just change the fact that you think it was a certain way, and you say, no, it's actually this way. Because, like, what are you waiting for? Like, I think it's more logical to live life optimistically. I think when like, I've learned about myself, if I am pessimistic, I can't function. Just can't function. Like, I will fall apart. I need optimism, and I know that to some degree that's going to hold me back. Like, there's certain things that I'm not going to be able to do as well because I'm too busy trying to be Mr. Sunshine. But I need that. And I need that to function. And I'm just going to be like, because if I'm not, and I decide I'm going to be all Mr. Rational and Mr. Pessimistic and Mr. Skeptical about myself all the time, and then I die because I can't function anymore, who am I helping?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather put out a bunch of mediocre food for 50 years than a good meal once, I'd rather just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if I'm wrong that I'm actually, and then you say it like, oh, actually I'm great. And then it turns out you actually are. And it's like, oh, so I'm not mediocre even anyway. But you just have to sort of buy into this idea, like, you know what? I'm good. Everything's going to be good. I am doing things the right way. And if I'm not, then I'm going to make it work and do it the right way then. And that's it,
That's beautiful. That is really beautiful. Normally, like, I perform the pessimism. Like, I don't know. I have like a very jovial personality, but at the same time a very brooding, like brooding sense of humor, as well as just like I get exhausted like on a regular basis by just performing myself. And I think like a part of that is the YouTube thing. But I think like I just crave peace. Like, I don't want to go out at the end of the day, like, after like being on camera and all that, I don't want to go out. Like, I withdraw a lot. I want to watch a film. I want to spend time with my intimates, and that's just really it. I want to eat good food.
Yeah.
Have good sex and go to sleep and do that again. Like, regularly. Like, I don't create, like, because anytime, like, when I'm in public, I feel like I have to perform, like, on a regular basis. Like, I mean, the foreign delivery, for the most part, like, a lot of that is real. A lot of that is me. That is me. But that's just me, high octane all the time.
Presentable, yeah.
And yeah, it's the part of me that I feel like is valuable for others. So, like, it's the part of me that I feel like, okay, I want to show up as the part that I feel is worth value, is worthy of your time. So, like, I think that you being calm, when you and Noan and everybody be calm, like, I'm like, that's so brave, because I feel like I need to be my most animated, my most entertaining self, because I feel like that is the worthy self. But on a regular basis, I'm just chilling. Like, I'm not as calm as you. I mean, I can never be.
I'm not that calm.
Like, I mean, like, you lit, right? But like, okay, like Noah, for instance, like, that man is comatose. Like, I'm like, when I talk to Noah on a bit, like, even like when he's lit, this man is
he's got a calm demeanor.
Yeah, he's just like, damn, that's cool. Like,
that's
but he's
really
just
great.
like little. Yeah, he's like, that's so good, man.
That's awesome, man. That's right. I'm happy to see
you. And like, really, I love you, man. Yeah. I saw you, like, you closed all your rings today. Good job. You're doing great. I'm like, bro, like, what's
that's his whole thing.
That's his thing. And like that, and like, it's so amazing that like he could do that. Like, another person that like I wish I had the level of caucasity to be is like someone like Sean, like the Skull. I'm more like you fuck. Like, you are literally, like, you can go and just upload a picture of a goddamn skull and
Uh-huh.
get hundreds of thousands of views.
Mm-hmm.
You madman. Well done.
But at the
Like I'm
same
like,
time, I've met people like Sean and like Noah that'll be on the other side. Like, man, I wish I could be more like foreign. Like, I wish I could be super like
that's incredible to me.
excitable, and that's the thing is that one of the best ways, honestly, like to practice this and to sort of start to heal this is to just refuse to show that side of yourself again, like for a while, for a day. Just
Interesting. Okay.
make a video where you're Sean. Make a video where you're, doing a specific film style you like.
Doing an Elliot. Actually, that sounds really cool. Like
Just
not
do
even
it.
like not only from like like a healing standpoint, but just as a test.
A
Like,
test.
can I do an Elliot sign video? Of course, I can't do it like you, but like my execution of an
Hmm.
Elliot sign video, what does that look like? My execution of a Sean or Andrewism video, what does that look like? Interesting.
It can be that exactly. It can be a thing where you allow the brooding side to come in, and you just no jokes. Here's the
Yeah.
next shot. Here's the next foreign man in foreign that video. You're not a single laugh. No smiles, no laughs,
So
no
hard.
voices, no characters. I'm
Oh
going to
my
do this
God.
like I'm going to do this like a freaking Werner Herzog film. Like I'm just gonna sit there and talk to you, dry and dark, for 30 minutes because that's how I feel. And you
Wow.
just show that, and you just let that rip. And what that
For the
does,
like, let the record show I don't like Sean. I'm sorry. I see like I see people talking about Sean. I actually don't like Sean.
I don't
But
know.
sorry, he,
I mean, he makes.
he's
I've
I
seen his videos. Some of them are very good. I don't know. I don't know anything about
he's
him
got
outside
some
of that.
issues. He's got some anyway. But yeah, no, I'd love to talk to him at some point. He does overall good work. But I anyway, yeah. But I was thinking,
I'm missing out.
like what was I gonna say with that in particular? Like
Is
that's
Finn
that's
actually
what
Bahamian? I'm sorry.
Finn is he's from Canada too, like, but like he is Bahamian. That is a Bahamian man right there.
Excellent.
Like literally,
Caribbean.
like for real, it's an amazing thing. Like that's what I use like the music for, and like that's why like I created the persona too.
Hmm.
Like so like I could just
Yeah.
like allow like compartmentalize like different parts of myself. Or more so just like allow different parts of me to show up in different places.
Yeah.
So like big furry foreign, like he got the jokes, he got the roasts.
Yeah.
Like it's just like me not being bred to be me just like legit. And I think like I'm gonna make him his own channel, like or maybe convert the Foreign Fridays channel to just being big furry foreign shit. And I don't have to come on camera, and I'm gonna just go on there and riff and react to TikToks, like bigoted TikToks and just like, not that much nuance. I'm just going off, just
Right.
going off. And then the music allows me to be, Morrissey, but with a Bahamian accent and just
Mm.
like be really brooding and like,
That
that's when is
that's
your
the
music?
shit right there. Me?
Like when you dropping more? Yeah.
Dropping is a way away, but I'm writing stuff. I'm
There we
writing
go.
stuff. I've been going through this process of like, oh, what should I do here? What should I do there? And I'm starting to figure it out. I think I can maybe drop something before the end of the year, but we'll see. Just like a song.
If you, okay, like, okay, hold me to dropping something before the year is out too.
Okay. I mean, all of us back are also like double as musicians. Like that's another thing about RedTube that has somehow become very evident to me.
CJ,
CJ,
you,
Color Mine,
Lo Color Mine, Lola Sebastian,
uh-huh,
Lily
Lily
Alexander.
Alexander singing.
Who
There's
else?
a
Like
lot. There's a
everybody.
lot of folks.
Think Peace
Uh,
is raps a little bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
I
lot.
don't get it.
It's a lot of folks. I got yeah. I will have music, but that's the thing is that you have to have different. Like I used to practice that subconsciously. Like in college, sometimes I would show up and I would just be really quiet, and people would be like,
I
"Elliot, why are
can't
you so
even do that for
quiet? Are you
him.
okay?" I'm just like, "I'm good." I'll just be quiet, Elliot, for a day, and I like making people deal with shit sometimes. Like as long as
Hmm.
I'm not like doing something to like harm a
Are
person,
people? Yeah.
I like making people deal with you know what, this is who I am. Like this is a thing that's
Hmm.
I struggle with a lot, and so it's very fun to do when I finally realize like, oh, I can do it. Like I'm going through
I've
some
never tried to
things.
do that
Yeah,
before.
do it. Like do it, and you'll see like how people will react, and it's kind of like almost gets your serotonin going. It's like, oh yeah, people are noticing, right? I I'm like, I'm under the feeling that I'm a different person every day. It just so happens to look the same, but like I'm big on different personalities. I'm big on different names. I'm big on like I'm gonna switch it up, different outfit style, like all of that. That's why my hair is always different in every video. People are always like, your hair is always so different. It's like
It really is.
I cannot keep giving you the same thing. Like I have to change something. Like I had to switch something up, and so my hair is like an outlet for that. If you don't have that, it's a struggle for me personally. Like some people, same thing every day. That's how they work. That's what they like to do.
I'm pretty regimented actually. Like,
But maybe you're not meant to be, dude. Like if you're struggling this much with these kinds of things, then you gotta experiment with experimenting. You know, like
yeah. You see how like you really like did a whole therapy session on live, like for real.
this is what I do. Come back
That
next
would be
week.
actually really that would be actually really interesting. Like, what if your live was just you like unethically giving therapy
That's why I tried. Like
to
so,
YouTubers?
honestly, like people have told me this before. Noah has told me this before. Like
Do it. I
I
think that'd
think
be so
that's just what
cool.
a good conversation feels like.
Therapeutic.
It's therapeutic. You know, like this is how I should feel. You know, especially like if you have a journalistic intent or some sort of theory, like whatever. Like it should feel therapeutic. I should come away from a conversation feeling like two people have changed. I should come away
Maybe I
feeling like
don't
we
have
dug
enough
into things. You know?
conversations. Maybe I don't have good enough
Come back next
conversations.
week. We're gonna dig into love life. We'll dig into piano, whatever.
Oh yeah, man, let's do it. Like let's like we need to have more like I've been noticing like well next video is just gonna be like so harrowing. It's about sissification, which is a fetish. Yeah. It's gonna be very harrowing.
Mm.
It's gonna be very nuanced. I see like a lot of folks I'm scared about it. I was scared about it until like I did more interviews, like with like more trans folk in particular, more people that are close. Like we got That's for the Birds editing a part of it too. So like,
Nice.
but it's like it's going into like the interracial fetishes. It's going into like black fetishes, like all of like the stuff, but also like some parts of nuance of gender exploration through
Mm.
sexuality and all of
Mm.
that. It's probably one of the most trepidatious videos I've done in a while, and I'm taking my time with it. Do you get scared before you release something?
Um,
I don't release it if I'm not scared about it.
I usually don't release stuff if I'm scared about it. I
Like if
don't.
I don't feel anxious about it, like I feel like I wouldn't do it.
Most of the time, I definitely don't feel like a strong fear. Um, every now and then I do, but it usually occurs to me too late anyway. I think part of it is just that I'm like, if I feel fear, then there's something going on that's wrong because I'm not supposed to have fear about what I'm talking about. I'm supposed to be fearless in that sense, right? So
Interesting.
I don't I don't know if it's that or if it's just that I'm like because I also kind of crowd source my video topics right with the
You
audience.
do.
So there is a sense of like, okay, this is going to be this is going to do well because people want it. So I know that people want it, so I'm not afraid, right? Like I do
Mm.
compartmentalize sometimes like my insecurities about certain things by just putting it on other people. Like y'all vote, and then I don't have to
I
think
often
about it.
find I often find it like when I because the thought of this the consensus on that is normally like people well they say at least don't audition thumbnails from your audience because your audience sorry this is like YouTube lore shit like they say that they don't pick the thumbnail that actually performs the best.
They pick the one that looks
Oh
best. It looks
yeah they
cool.
pick yeah it looks cool or something like that but like they're not the one that people are gonna click on
Exactly. They
which
always
is
want you to
interesting.
stand out and be so cool, and then you get 5 views for it. And it's like, guys, I can't do this. You know, like
I'm good. Stop coming to you
I'm
for
good.
advice.
Yeah, because it's like you don't. They want different things. They always come at it with the money. You
Yeah,
sometimes get these comments of like these thumbnail cultures, YouTubers with their thumbnails there, so clickbait.
Colin Ballinger thing.
And it's like, bro, like I need to actually get views. Like I need to get paid. So I'm gonna
Y'all
do the
don't
thing.
watch this shit when I don't do this shit.
Exactly. It doesn't come to you, you have a problem with it, take it up with YouTube. It's not me, you know. But
I
That's
I
true.
don't, the reason why, like if I'm not scared about a topic to an extent, like if I don't feel like some trepidation, then I feel as though like it's too, like it's not visceral with me, one.
Mm,
Like if I don't have like a visceral reaction from it or like a fear, like a little bit of anxiety
yeah.
from it, I feel like I'm not pushing the needle enough.
Yeah.
But like I don't think like every video needs to be that. Like I think like
Yeah.
that's also like a problem, and that's might be a reason of burnout as well.
Yeah.
Because like what it ends up doing is just like you're always in this perpetual state of like anxiety, and because like you're making things that like you feel like are pushing, like you're trying to push the envelope or something. I'm trying to have conversations that other people wouldn't have because so much has been talked about. Like everybody's been talked about to like a certain extent.
Yeah.
So like I know, like especially like if you did like your video like on third places, I'm not gonna make no fucking third place. You done made it. Like you already made it. Like I'm all like or Andrew already made it. Like
Hmm.
okay, like I don't need to talk about this shit because I'm not gonna be able to speak to it. One, I'm like, okay, yeah, facts, facts, facts. But
Hmm.
like I will find the things that like either people haven't talked about or haven't talked about, at least from this perspective and angle. And like that's how you get like the black incel video. That's how you get the black fetish video.
Hmm.
That's how you're gonna get like a leftist analysis of like kink culture and how it is liberating and also denigrating at the same time.
Hmm.
Like one, there's a lot of reasons why, because monetization. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna monetize this video because there's just so many different words, so many different case studies that they're
FD
gonna.
has figured out some tactics for that with the sex video he did recently too, a few months ago. So you gotta maybe pick up some from there.
Man, look,
It's gonna be tough.
but like I try to like at least get like some type of anxiety from it. Like if I feel like if I'm not anxious about it, I shouldn't be making it. Have you ever scrapped a video?
Yeah. Yeah, I've scrapped stuff. I've definitely felt like there's some stuff where I wasn't going to get. I'm honestly kind of outcome based when I think about videos sometimes, where I'm like, if I don't feel like this is going to get views, I probably won't make it. I'll save it for a day when I
Mm.
have a lot of subscribers that are gonna watch anyway, and so the push gets easier. You know, like
Or the angle, or like you could find like a different angle that's a little bit more palatable.
yeah, exactly. There's always a way to angle things into being more relevant or whatever, more clickbaity. But
Yeah.
there's certain times where I'm just like, I'm not that interested in this anymore. I can't figure this out, or oh, this isn't going to click with people. And I definitely, I'm definitely willing to be like, I am healthily insecure about my like audience retention. You know, I think that's
Really?
very important because I gotta make sure, like, it's the job. Like, I'm trying to do
Yeah.
this full time,
And
and
it is very
time
like
consuming.
time consuming and harrowing. And I don't, do people do people respect your job? I don't feel like people respect YouTube as a job. At least for me.
Um,
Like,
they do here. I think in the U.S. it's and in New York it's a lot of people will come up and be like, "This is so cool what you're doing," whatever. And even my dad. Now my dad is like fairly like conservative in a lot of things, and like
same,
he's my
yeah.
dad, right? And his whole thing has been throughout my life like you have to, if he sees his kids are taking care of themselves and are making money, then he's proud, and that's all he cares about. It makes him happy.
Yeah.
And he's telling everybody nowadays, oh, my son has a YouTube channel, he made this much from this, and he does this, and he has a sponsorship where they send him this. Like, he is very excited about that because it's like, oh, he's like
The money
he's
aspect.
got
Yeah.
autonomy. Yeah, he's really
Yeah.
making, he's doing successfully in a
Yes.
career. And I think the money talks, honestly. Like, I think you got to be careful about who you talk about money with, but because you don't want necessarily to feel like you're gonna attract certain unwanted attention. But like at the same time, sometimes you gotta break down to a person like, listen, like, this shit is a way better
This is
career
sustainable.
like
Yeah.
than any other shit I was doing. If I was to be a journalist, for fucking get about it. Like, you want me to write for fucking the Atlantic? Get out of here. Like,
Yeah, like I mean, it's a lot of time, like in the Caribbean, I wish that would be a luxury if people would actually treat me with the respect that I deserve for like what I do. I mean, like people just think that like I'm a comic or something or like a gesture. they see that like I am like afforded to live and live rather well, live comfortably, but they assume they don't like really interact with my YouTube. They more so interact with like my storytelling videos like on TikTok or something like that. So like the
Mm.
existence over here is mostly like, oh, you're the guy that tells like the funny stories. I'm more like, that's just like the introduction to like this far deeper thing. And like I talk about like a lot of real shit.
Yeah.
And like they just like, no, be funny, like be like the funny you. And it's treated also like, or like something like with my mom. Like my mom would like be like, hey, can you take your nana to the grocery store? And I'm more like, I will, but I am conducting an interview right now. And he's like, can't you do it later? I'm like, no. Like I'm like, no. And
This is
like
a
I just
job.
I have to hyper perform job. Like I feel like I'm in
Mm-hmm.
a constant negotiation with people like to treat this seriously. And I don't know if I'm trying to negotiate it with them or myself at times. Like it's
Mm.
just like a constant time like when I'm just like, hey, this is a hard thing. Like I gotta think of topics. I gotta like write them out. I gotta like consult with like different like people and freelance writers and editors. I have to arrange it. I have to graphic
Yeah.
design. I have to audio. I have to do all this. I have to record it. This is like a long job. This takes a lot of time. This takes a lot
Yeah.
of
It's like a
labor.
TV
And I gotta read
program.
a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, but it's just me, and I'm doing
It's
all
just
of
you.
yeah, and like people will like parents will still be all like, all right, but like this is flippant, you know?
Mm-hmm. My mom would be like
Um,
that sometimes. I think in a subtle way where she doesn't necessarily know she's doing it, but sometimes she'll still be like, you know, have you thought about working in a bank? And it's like,
I hate, yes, they hit you with, hey, would you invest in crypto? I'm like,
no.
I have a job. You know, just like I'm like, do you think I'm employed, don't you? Do you think I sell drugs? Like I literally ask her like sometimes, I'm like, what do you think I do all day? Like, do you think I'm just here jacking off or something? Like, what do you think I'm doing in this room? And like he's like, I don't know. Like she comes out, like she comes like to my place and texts me and she's like, hey, you okay? I haven't seen you in like a day. I'm like, it's because I've been at this foreign sweatshop for a whole evening and a fortnight trying to get this goddamn video out because friggin' Adam and Eve has a whip for me if I don't get this video out
Yeah.
this month.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but nobody, you don't hear about that though.
You know, I wanna close here because we're
Oh
closing in on
yeah,
a
for
third
real. We've been
hour.
talking. You see how long you got me talking, Elliot? This
It's
is longer
amazing.
than my live streams.
I
Like,
like to
this is
talk.
amazing.
I like to
I
talk.
like to talk to you.
I like to
Yeah.
talk to you, Farin. What I was going to
Yeah.
say
This
in
was
response,
beautiful.
it is. You're coming back soon. Um, what I wanted to say to this response to that is that you're in a position where, you know, it's kind of like almost like a big fish, small pond thing or whatever. People
Hmm.
don't recognize what you're doing. And another way to look at it is that you have an opportunity to tell them and like to show people what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like you can lean into it a little bit more and like I'm
Hmm.
sure there's I mean
There's
colleges,
creators here.
schools
Yeah.
out there like you have an opportunity to just sort of show people like hey, like this is a way you can do things and this is how you can do it. And I understand that most people don't listen, but at the same time, if you put yourself out there as like this is what I'm doing, I'm the champion of this as well as being the thing. Like I'm also the champion for you can be a Bahamian left wing YouTuber, you can be you can be from the Bahamas, you can be from the Caribbean island and put out you know sophisticated content, sophisticated art, and make money off of it from YouTube. There's going to be at least one other person and then another person and somebody
Yeah.
else who goes to you and says hey like because of you I started making YouTube videos or I want to make a YouTube video. And after a year or two you know you're going to start seeing that change already, and after 5 years it's going to be a completely different thing where all of a sudden these kids are growing up and they're making YouTube channels in college and you're like oh, where is this when I was in college type shit. But you're going to have
And
to
then I'll be
recognize in that
the
moment
old
it's because of
man.
you're the pioneer, you know. So this is
That's so
this
sweet.
this is the struggle of the pioneer. You have to hold on to the be a little proud. Like remember, like you know, like hey, I'm gonna be fucking right in 5 years. I'm gonna be the guy, and I will rub it in people's faces if I have to. But people are they're asleep now. They will wake up, you know, and when they
I
do,
am the SoundCloud rapper.
you know, like you're the guy, like you're the ex whatever the
XX
Morrissey.
Tentacion.
No, 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 no. You're the.
Yeah, God, no. Yeah,
I get
no,
what you mean though.
no.
I see how that was going to. I thought it sounded like I was going there, but like, yeah, you're like the sort of pioneer of this thing, and that
Yeah.
means that part of that comes with what is it that they say? They hated Jesus or whatever. Like it's like
I
they
hated Jesus too.
they hated like they didn't understand at first. Folks didn't understand at first, and
Oh,
that's
man.
that. Take that as a be arrogant about that. Take that as a form of pride. Like they don't even get it. They don't even know I'm fucking got 100,000 subscribers and people think I'm cool. And then one day what's gonna happen is you're also gonna show up with the accolade that people do notice. They're like, oh, you were in New York and you did this and you taught this class, or you were over here and you got this certification, you got this whatever, you got to speak here, you got to do this. Huh? Like, what as a YouTuber? Like, that's what's gonna happen. So just lean into that.
Elliot is the next what's that motivational speaker, man? Like,
Which
Lord.
one?
Oh
Tony
man, like
Robbins?
yes, that's exactly who I was
No,
thinking.
no.
I was just like, that is amazing. I was just like, man, like you just gassed me up like at 8 o'clock. Like this is
You need
amazing.
that.
I mean, I needed that this morning, but I'll settle for it now. But like,
Take it into next
like
morning.
I'm gonna record this. You should make these as poets. Honestly,
This is gonna stay on, yeah.
chat, bully Elliot into doing therapy with Elliot regularly for YouTube's like YouTube therapy. Like like for real, like YouTube therapy, like but not only for like bread too, but just like YouTubers because I don't think that there's anybody that really specializes
There's
in
just Dr.
YouTube
K.
therapy.
Dr. K does that. I don't know if you've
Damn, you
seen him.
already know.
Healthy Gamer
It's like,
GG, yeah. If he does like the really big ones. So he did one with ContraPoints years ago. He does one with like really big
that sounds
he did
interesting.
uh uh
What
really really
made you
big
though?
Twitch streamers, like yeah, all those folks. Um
It's a market though.
that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not the
That's the
first,
thing.
but I got my own flavor.
I think that you should do it, honestly.
I'll do this
Like,
more often. Don't worry. And if people are channel members, we have set up a channel membership on the channel. If you hit the join button for $5 a month, you can have special emojis in the chat. I'll show you
I
guys
did
some
see
of
some
the.
specials.
Yeah, there's some special folks. There's some folks with like some special. Freddie Gormack Smith was in there. Has the
I
special
did
stuff.
see that.
There's some
I was
special
trying to figure
emojis
out.
in the chat,
I was
friends.
like, why is that person green?
I got like this T emoji. I got this Marx emoji. I got this fire emoji. I got this befuddled emoji. This is stuff you can comment with. It's stuff you can use in the premieres and stuff you can
The
use in the
guy,
streams.
guy said, Elliot, you got to do more of these with foreign specifically. He's not
Oh,
okay.
I know. My whole goal for the rest of the year is just to help heal foreign.
Help foreign.
Help foreign. Hashtag help foreign is the
I
therapy.
wonder if like everybody just like sees this and like everybody's just like, hey, foreign, are you okay? Because people have done that recently. Just like, do y'all not think I'm okay?
I mean,
It's
clearly
like,
you're not, bro. Like, damn. Like, obviously, like you're sitting here like, damn, I'm not okay. And then you log off, and then people are like, hey, are you okay? And you're like, what makes you think that I'm not? Like, well, at 24:70, at 32 seconds,
oh,
32 minutes and 20 seconds, you said, and I
is that
quote,
what I get for flagellating myself and my sundry?
I'm just being honest. I'm just being truthful. I can't lie
No,
to
I
you.
appreciate it. I
Um,
that's the whole point about this channel is just like to be more vulnerable because I understand also that people are being there's someone that is like me that is not vulnerable and they could be vulnerable through me. I feel like that's a win. A
same.
win is a win.
A win is a
Hashtag help
win.
foreign. If this like listen, if I see that a lot, if I see that a lot, like I will know. I
I
will
should get
know
an
where it
emoji
came from.
next of you with a teardrop, like a
With me with a teardrop, like me,
sad foreign face. Yeah,
Michael Jordan, like crying, but just
but
me.
Michael
Yeah, let's go
Foreign.
for
Yeah,
it. Michael. All right, y'all. This
that's
has been
it.
lovely. This has been beautiful.
Have a wonderful night. I'll
Y'all
be back
take
with more
time.
therapy soon,
Therapy
folks.
with Elliot soon.
And I'll message you something afterwards. Okay, I
Okay.
got you after this. All right, bye
Wait,
everybody.
how do I even end this?
Don't worry, I'll close the thing.
Okay.